You had to feel the energy that was in the park that night. You had to feel what I think the guys who were on the field felt was, this was a moment that probably will never happen again. And Ted being the centerpiece of that.
You feel that everybody was around him. The tear came out. Something that I'm never going to forget.
That was a great moment. I think that was just a really pure moment, especially in baseball. I mean, it was great. First of all, I mean, all the great players that were assembled before he came out and everybody out there, from the past and the present. And then when he actually did come out, everybody just gathered around him.
This was history. This was, for me, it's like the most electric moment I've ever been a part of.
As soon as you meet him, the first thing he wants to do is talk about hitting. He's like, yeah, you're doing this and this, and you have to listen. He's the best.
He was the man. Hitting forward seat. That's unbelievable. And every time you have a chance to talk to him, you can see he was a positive man all the time. He tell you the truth.
I feel very fortunate to have had more than one conversation with him, more than just sitting down and talking about baseball. When you sit down and you talk with him, I mean, it's like family. It's not like, one good hitter talking to another good hitter.
Everybody looked at him as the greatest hitter of all time, I looked at him that way, but I became to know him as my friend. That's a thrill for me, just to get to know the amazing man he was. It wasn't necessarily just baseball aspect of it, just the amazing man and what he's gone through, going through the wars and who he's known and what he's been through. And to me, that's what was amazing to me.
The look on those faces of the players that gathered around him in an impromptu moment right at home plate, something that I will never forget that night in Fenway. Right now here in Milwaukee, let's join public address announcer Rob Edwards for the introduction of tonight's All-Stars.
Introducing the American League All-Stars. First, the coaches. From the Anaheim Angels, manager Mike Scioscia. From the Cleveland Indians, manager Charlie Manuel. Now the players. From the Anaheim Angels, outfielder Garrett Anderson. From the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman Tony Batista. From the Boston Red Sox, shortstop Nomar Garciaparra. Outfielder Johnny Damon. Pitcher Huguet Urbina. From the Chicago White Sox, first baseman Paul Anka. Pitcher Mark Burley. From the Cleveland Indians, shortstop Omar Vizquel. From the Detroit Tigers, outfielder Robert Fick. From the Kansas City Royals, first baseman Mike Sweeney. From the Minnesota Twins, pitcher Eddie Guardado. Catcher A.J. Pierzynski. From the New York Yankees, shortstop Derek Jeter. Third baseman Robin Ventura. Pitcher Mariano Rivera. From the Oakland Athletics, shortstop Miguel Tejada. Pitcher, Barry Zito. From the Seattle Mariners, pitcher, Kazuhiro Sasaki. Pitcher, Freddie Garcia. From the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, outfielder, Randy Wynn. From the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher, Roy Halladay. Now let's meet the National League All-Stars. First, the coaches. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, manager Jim Tracy. From the Montreal Expos, manager Frank Robinson. Now the players. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, outfielder Luis Gonzalez. Catcher Damian Miller. Second baseman Junior Spivey. Pitcher Byung Kim. From the Atlanta Braves, outfielder Andrew Jones. Pitcher John Smoltz. Pitcher Mike Remlinger. Pitcher Tom Glavine. From the Cincinnati Reds, outfielder Adam Dunn. From the Florida Marlins, second baseman Luis Castillo. Third baseman Mike Lowell. From the Houston Astros, outfielder Lance Berkman. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, outfielder Sean Green. Pitcher Eric Gagne. Pitcher Odalis Perez. From your Milwaukee, Richie Sexton. Shortstop, Jose Hernandez. From the Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher Vicente Padilla. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, pitcher Mike Williams. From the St. Louis Cardinals, pitcher Matt Morris. From the San Diego Padres, pitcher Trevor Hoffman. From the San Francisco Giants, pitcher Rob Nen. Catcher Benito Santiago. Now let's meet the American League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the New York Yankees, Joe Torre. Honorary captain, two-time MVP, Brewers legend, Hall of Famer, Robin Yount. Seattle Mariners, right fielder, Ichiro Suzuki. Batting second, from the Boston Red Sox, third baseman Shea Hillenbrand. Batting third, from the Texas Rangers, shortstop Alex Rodriguez. Batting fourth, from the New York Yankees, first baseman Jason Giambi. Batting fifth, from the Boston Red Sox, left fielder Manny Ramirez. Batting sixth, from the New York Yankees, catcher Jorge Posada. Batting seventh, from the Minnesota Twins, center fielder Torii Hunter. Batting eighth, from the New York Yankees, second baseman Alfonso Soriano. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, from the Boston Red Sox, Derek Lowe. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2002 American League All-Stars. Now let's meet the National League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Bob Brenly.
All right, Joe. Good luck. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
The honorary captain, 15-time All-Star, going into the Hall of Fame later this month, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith. Leading off, from the Montreal Expos, second baseman Jose Vidro. Batting second, from the Colorado Rockies, first baseman Todd Helton.
All right, Todd. Have some fun, big boy.
Batting third, from the San Francisco Giants, left fielder Barry Bonds. Batting fourth, from the Chicago Cubs, right fielder Sammy Sosa. Batting fifth, from the Montreal Expos, center fielder Vladimir Guerrero. Batting sixth, from the New York Mets, catcher Mike Piazza. Batting seventh from the Philadelphia Phillies, third baseman Scott Rowland. Batting eighth from the Philadelphia Phillies, shortstop Jimmy Rollins. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, the Arizona Diamondbacks, Curt Schilling. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2002 National League All-Stars. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we honor America with our national anthem. Performed tonight by multi-platinum epic recording artist Anastasia.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we walls were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets gave glare, bombs bursting in air, gave true through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ceremonial first pitch time here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. That was Warren Spahn. Here comes Hammer and Hank. Molly. Paul Molitor.
MVP, and he's in the Hall of Fame, Robin Yount.
And Robin Yount, who is on Bob Brenly's coaching staff in Arizona, as the honorary captain for the American League here tonight. And who else would you have catch, Tim McCarver, if you're in Milwaukee, than you?
32nd year broadcasting here in Milwaukee. Mr. Baseball, the funniest man I have ever met. And Uke will be visiting us in the booth in the 5th inning this evening.
So here, are they going to all fire at once, or what's going to happen?
They're all going to fire at Uker.
Well, he's got help. He's got Posada, Sexton, and Hernandez. Gentlemen, it's all you. We've had some educational moments, Tim McCarver, in the last couple of All-Star games that we've done for not only for somebody like myself, who really wasn't around in what I consider the glory days of this game in the 40s, 50s, 60s in that area. But to see some of these young players get an education and see some of the old time players, whether it's Ted Williams or Warren Spahn or Hank Aaron, you can go on down the list, and how many of today's superstars are aware of those that came before them and the path that they blazed to allow them to do what they're doing on the field, and in the end allow them to make the money that they're making.
I think more and more of the players are aware of that, and one of the players who is perhaps more aware of that than any today is starting for the National League this evening, Curt Schilling. Saw Warren Spahn out there, 373 lifetime wins, and Joe Torre, the American League manager, pardon me, his first hit as a National Leaguer was as a pinch hitter for Warren Spahn back in 1960.
Then he was excited when his manager called for a pinch runner and he got to come off. He didn't think with his jelly legs he could navigate his way around the bases. There's Joe Torre. We'll talk to him during this game. Bob Brenly as well. We'll take our final break, come back and play baseball. 73rd All-Star Game from Milwaukee comes your way next on Fox. Well, last night we had a torrential downpour. Tonight, with the retractable roof wide open, clear blue skies overhead, the National League All-Stars take the field. Curt Schilling last to leave the dugout, and he will take on this American League lineup. You know all about Curt Schilling if you watched any of the postseason last year. He can bring it. 14-game winner. He has more wins than walks this season. And let's take a look at the lineup for the American League. It's presented by Budweiser. Ichiro will lead it off. He's in right field. And Shea Hillenbrand of Boston bats second. Alex Rodriguez, the shortstop. Jason Giambi cleans up at first base. Manny Ramirez in left. Jorge Posada is the catcher with Torii Hunter in center. Alfonso Soriano is batting eighth. Derek Lowe pitching and batting ninth. We'll get to see him swing the bat most likely, unless the American League has a bust-out inning here at the start. We'll talk more about Derek Lowe when he heads to work. Right now working is Curt Schilling.
A fascinating season already. 186 strikeouts and 13 walks. And as Joe said, 14 wins, 13 walks. His strikeouts to walks ratio is the best ever. The best ever over half a season. And that's at first point right there. His strikeouts, not strikes. He was very, very forthright in the press conference yesterday in saying we do not want to strike this year. The only strike you're going to see tomorrow night is strike one. And he has finished what he started. He is his own stopper.
Bob Brenly, manager of the world champion Arizona Diamondbacks, had to go through the arduous, grueling process of trying to put the reserves and the pitching staff together. Talked to him before the game about that. There are 5 Diamondbacks without Randy Johnson, who's sitting out this game. There are 6 Yankees. Joe Torre is well aware of the strings that are attached and the criticism that is inherent in selecting the rosters for the All-Star games. There he is standing next to former mayor Rudolph Giuliani, and we will hear from Rudolph Giuliani a little later on in this game. Away we go. Is this broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television? First pitch is hit hard, but right at the first baseman. Help one away.
I think there are 2 things that you see in All-Star games that are common. First ball hitting and solo home runs. Rarely does base running change the course of an All-Star game.
So much so that these managers come into these games and they really don't give signs.
No.
The signs are yelling. Don't run, run.
Right.
And if you can throw them out, throw them out. A lot of teams and a lot of base stealers have been running on Mike Piazza this season. He does the catching and he receives the ball up and away from Curt Schilling. Shea Hillenbrand may be the most improved hitter and overall player in the American League, and it's a surprise, but it is justified that he is here starting as the third baseman for the AL as the count evens at a ball and a strike.
One huge hit after another. A pinch hit grand slam against Tampa Bay earlier in the year. The Boston Red Sox in the first half only 2 games behind the New York Yankees.
So with 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike. And Shea a little late with that swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hillenbrand will turn 27 a bit later on in this month. And his 51 RBIs, the second highest total by a Boston Red Sox third baseman in their history at the break. Second highest to Wade Boggs, who drove home 55 back in 1987. Stays 1-2. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez waits to hit next. Hillenbrand, part of a Boston Red Sox team that hits the break 2 games out behind the New York Yankees. Hillenbrand is up there ready to swing. It's still 1-2.
Including Pedro Martinez, as you take a look at Derek Jeter, of course. Including Pedro Martinez, the Red Sox have 7 electees to the All-Star game this year. That's the most since 1946, when they had 8, and they won the American League pennant that year.
That's foul again, and Hillenbrand is putting on quite a battle and at least making Schilling work. Kurt jumped out in front at a ball and 2 strikes. It's Derek Lowe. He'll be the starter tonight for the American League. And he's really an incredible story. Consider where he came from last year. Former closer for the Red Sox, now a starter, and here he is starting the All-Star game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bob Brenly, we talked to him before the game and said, Bob, come on, give us a little bit of help. What's your pitching rotation going to be for this game? Who's following who? What's going to happen with your reserves and your position players as Hillenbrand strikes out? He said, I don't know. We'll just get into the game and see what happens. Now get out of my office. I can't believe I ever worked with you two. As Hillenbrand comes up empty, 2 out.
That's what Schilling says with that fastball to Hillenbrand. Get out of my office.
Kurt Schilling telling Alex Rodriguez that he's going to throw him all fastballs in this at bat.
Hit me if you can.
So here we go. Said mano a mano, 1-on-1. Alex Rodriguez trying to fight back a smile. He knows what's coming. Does he trust Kurt Schilling? You have to, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so. In the All-Star
like mind games.
However, there's always that thought in the back of your mind.
There's 1 fastball, 97 miles an hour. Alex Rodriguez, who is on pace, Tim McCarver, you love it.
I do.
For that all-time home run mark, if he continues with this kind of prowess that he's been putting up year after year as he dumps 1 foul down the right field line. 2 fastballs, 2 strikes. Schilling proving that the best pitch is still that good fastball.
That is the best fastball Schilling has thrown. That had some cut action to it. You could see Piazza sitting outside, the ball cutting away, almost flared to right by Rodriguez.
He didn't say they'd be straight fastballs.
No. Say what kind of action would be on the fastballs.
Well, here you go. Schilling a rare back and let it fly.
Inside, 2-seamer.
1, 2, 3, and Kurt Schilling stared down Alex Rodriguez through 3 consecutive fastballs, gets 2 strikeouts in the first, and the National League's coming to bat. No score after a half inning. Schilling a perfect first. Once again, tonight's starting lineup for the National League, presented by Budweiser. They will lead it off with Jose Vidro. Todd Helton batting second at first base. From the Giants, Barry Bonds. Number 4 on the all-time home run list. Sammy Sosa cleans up and right. Vladimir Guerrero bats 5th. Mike Piazza does the catching. Scott Rowland at third base, having a down year, but he's here nonetheless. Jimmy Rollins at shortstop, and Kurt Schilling pitching and batting 9th. You look at the numbers for Derek Lowe while these fans honor Mayor Giuliani. Shake the hand of home plate umpire Jerry Davis. Tim, everywhere he goes, he gets pats on the back for the job he did in the wake of the terrorist attacks last September the 11th.
I guess if there were a scouting report on Mayor Giuliani, he would be a representative of bravado.
And Derek Lowe, he's 12-4.
He keeps the ball in the park too.
His first pitch, he is on the inside corner to Vidro. Normally we get these guys here in the early innings that are on the mound like Schilling that can just blow the ball by hitters. But Lowe is a sinker ball type pitcher as Vidro hits a 2-hopper to the shortstop. A-Rod, one away.
And on cue, sinker ball pitchers throw more ground balls. A ground ball out. And as we said, he keeps the ball in the ballpark from stopper to starter. A guy who was 5-10 as the stopper of the Red Sox last year, the short reliever, with 6 blown saves. Remarkably, a reversal of fortune this year.
Only 24 saves total. And a guy who, during a dismal stretch, waited at one point after a game for 2.5 hours to let the fans leave the Fenway Park area so he could exit the stadium. And now he represents the Red Sox as the American League starting pitcher. No balls, 2 strikes on Todd Helton.
That's how bad the booing was last year when Lowe pitched at Fenway Park. There's the 6 blown saves, 10 losses, only 5 wins. He had 42 saves 2 years ago and a member of the American League All-Star team as a stopper.
A ball and 2 strikes on Helton, one of the best pure hitters that we will see here tonight. Here's a guy who no doubt doesn't get the credit he deserves for being the kind of player and hitter that he is, and first baseman, because he plays his home games out in Denver, Colorado. Bottom line is the guy can flat out hit. The count's still 1-2 to the former quarterback, the University of Tennessee.
Played for the Tennessee Volunteers when Peyton Manning was the quarterback there. Peyton Manning will make other quarterbacks go to baseball.
Count still 1-2 as Helton gets the bat on that pitch down and in. Well, last year we were in Seattle, this year Milwaukee, and next year Chicago. Comiskey Park, 74th All-Star game. Still a ball and 2 strikes on Todd Helton with Barry Bonds on deck, and that's to A-Rod again. Another 2-hopper. Oh hum, a replay, 2 out. That's a sinker ball, Tim.
That's a sinker ball. There's a guy coming up to the plate, however, can turn sinker balls around. Number 25 for the Giants. You can see the downward action of that fastball. Tapped weakly to short by Helton.
So here's Bonds for the bases cleared. They put the shift on in the infield for Bonds, his 11th All-Star game. And he takes ball 1. That's foul. Nobody manages the home plate area in today's game like Barry Bonds. Getting calls from umpires, rarely arguing with umpires. He'll do it with his teammates, but not with the umpire behind the plate. Didn't get his arms extended as he raises one into right center field. At the wall, it is caught. Oh, what a catch by Torii Hunter. Is that any good?
That'll wake you up. My goodness.
Way over the wall to take a home run away from Barry Bonds. And fans in Minnesota will tell you that's routine for this guy. And Bonds says thanks a lot. What a catch by Torii Hunter. And we are through 1 here in Milwaukee. No score. Wow. Here's the first pitch of the 2nd inning, and it's a high strike to Jason Giambi. Got off to a slow start. Yankee pinstripes or that road uniform. But then one night in the 14th inning, bottom half, a game-winning grand slam, May 17th against Minnesota. It seemed like the fans took him in finally. And he's been on a roll ever since. A little behind where he was a year ago, but nonetheless 22 home runs, 71 RBIs, and an average of .318. Still 0-2. Hard to believe Giambi came up as a third baseman. Was tutored and mentored by Mark McGwire. Giambi took over for McGwire. He left Oakland going to St. Louis, and then took over for Tino Martinez, who left New York and went to St. Louis. It's still 0-2 on Giambi, who won the home run hitting contest here yesterday evening.
That's the reason you come up as a third baseman when you have the tower of strength Mark McGwire at first base. But when McGwire went to St. Louis, Giambi crossed the diamond.
On 0-2. Struck him out looking. Third consecutive strikeout for Schilling. And let's go down to the dugout and hear from Kevin Kennedy.
We talked about Torii Hunter in a pregame show being the best defensive center fielder in the game. You didn't waste any time.
Oh, man, I had to go get that, man. I try to make some kind of highlight. I'm down for the day. The butterflies are gone.
What did Barry say to you? What picked you up out there?
Yeah, he said, hey, good job, and then grabbed me and tried to dump me, but I wouldn't let him.
You know, you got a bat going. You got to get ready for that offense. You got a lot of home runs too.
I got a good guy to face over here, so I'm gonna try to get ready for this guy.
Thanks a lot, Torii. All right, let's take it back upstairs.
Kevin saying that was one of the two players that he couldn't wait to see, and we know why now. Torii Hunter, a high school shortstop, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, absolutely fearless going to the wall. A tremendous athlete. He showed it in the first inning tonight. Here's Manny Ramirez. Quickly 0-2. Manny Ramirez, who went down in May with a broken finger on his left hand. Gave that time to heal, then went out on a rehab assignment, and he's back. And 0-2 from Schilling. Right back up the middle, and it's the game's first hit.
Last November, the Minnesota Twins and the Montreal Expos were to be dismissed this year in baseball. This is contraction right here, as Hunter takes a home run away from Barry Bonds.
Bonds has spent the last 5 minutes with a look on his face like, you got to be kidding me. And so there's still no score. It's 1 on, 1 out. Here's Jorge Posada, his third All-Star game. He's a little late with strike one.
Fastball from Kurt Schilling. Not the type that Posada is catching from Derek Lowe.
No balls, 1 strike. And now 1-1. You were a catcher. You caught in All-Star games. You get a chance to see somebody like Piazza catch Schilling. It's a test, isn't it, to be thrown out there in front of the world and say, here, go catch this guy who's got electric stuff and make it look good while you do it.
It's not like catching a knuckleball pitcher like Rich Gedman had to do when Charlie Huff pitched in 1986 in Houston when the All-Star game was played. But it's very difficult on pitches like this, balls in the dirt. You can see how Piazza is battling that splitter. Sometimes it's a lot easier to face a pitcher like Schilling than it is to catch him.
So 1 ball, 2 strikes with Ramirez at first and 1 out. No score here in the second. And to the first baseman, Helton, only 1 play, 2 out. So Posada's taken care of, and Torii Hunter ought to get a big round of applause when he is introduced after that catch out in center field. By the way, Hunter is part of a Minnesota team that carries a 7.5-game lead. There's more for your contraction into the All-Star break.
Just off the top of my head, I can't think of a player winning an MVP award in an All-Star game for a defensive play. But it's easy that Hunter is the first inning MVP.
Partial results. Torii Hunter right now unofficially is leading Tim McCarver's MVP award for the evening.
Well, I got some help from the truck. Truck tells me that, well, the truck didn't tell me, but the guys in the truck told me that in 1979, Dave Parker in Minnesota with 2 great throws home won the MVP award. Specifically, I said Minnesota was in Seattle, but specifically because of his defense.
So with a runner at second and 2 out, no balls, 2 strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Schilling is not leaving much for a 3rd inning because he knows he isn't going back out there. He's got his manager in the dugout, Bob Brenly, pulling the strings, and Schilling is going to let it all hang out here in the 2nd inning, trying to get out of it and keep it scoreless, dominated by strikes. And a little squirter to the second baseman. That's Vidro, and that's the end of an inning and a half. A hit, man left. We go to the bottom of the 2nd in Milwaukee. National League coming up, no score. Sammy Sosa will lead it off, but right now down to the dugout, and Steve Lyons. Steve.
Hi, Joe, with Kurt Schilling. And Kurt, you made quick work of that American League team in the first 2 innings. Like you had somewhere to go.
Yeah, as you get out of this game, that lineup. I mean, you get 3-3 on the first. Like, all right, you know, one more guy, and you look up in there, and it's Giambi, Ramirez, you know, and a whole slew of guys. So that was fun.
Now let's talk about that first. You got 2 quick outs, then you got a new ball, and you went and you said something to A-Rod. What were you talking about?
I told him yesterday, if we had 2 outs and nobody on, it would be my best. I'd give him nothing but fastballs. I was going to give him my best, but he was getting nothing but fastballs. And it took me about 5 minutes to convince him I wasn't lying. He thought I was trying to trick him. So when I went up there and got the ball, I said, hey, my best, your best. And it was my best. That was everything I have.
Saying strike 3 and sit down.
Well, yeah, for now.
All right, man, good luck. Have a good time. All right, guys, let's go back to you.
A look at that at bat back in the 1st inning. Schilling is through 2 scoreless, and he's finished for the night. Now a leadoff hit by Sosa, 1 on, nobody out for Vladimir Guerrero. He takes the ball low and away. Do you think Bob Brenly can hear us down in that dugout?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, guys.
We miss you up here, buddy.
Hey, you just saw something that rarely happens. Vladimir Guerrero took a pitch.
Hey, Shecky Green.
He took 2 pitches.
Oh my gosh, 2 balls, no strikes. You having any fun down there?
Oh, it's been great, Joe. I'll tell you, these guys are all so fired up to be here, and it's just been a hoot.
Now he's swinging, and he bounces a base hit into left, and Bob Brenly's National League All-Stars, as Sosa's going to test the left fielder and called out. Ramirez throwing to Hillenbrand, and Sammy Sosa tried to do a little too much and made the first out at 3rd base here in the 2nd inning.
Trying to take the extra base on a guy who's only played 32 games in the outfield this year. Manny Ramirez, who hurriedly throws to 3rd to get Sosa. That is not a good base running play by Sammy Sosa. Great hitter, great power, poor base running right here.
What's going on down there, Brenly? Can't you control these guys?
We had base running drills this morning.
Now a balk has been called, so your National League All-Stars now have Vladimir Guerrero at 3rd and only 1 out, and an easier RBI chance for Piazza. Here's a balk by Derek Lowe.
Yeah, right there, reaching in and then reaching out while he was still on the rubber.
Piazza takes ball 1.
You know, if we had signs, I'd put a squeeze on right now.
Yeah. They'd run you out of here. Piazza, who during the regular season has driven in 56, hitting .285, well below his career average, takes ball 2. Bob, you used to do this for a living. If you want to jump in, just hop in and say whatever you want. Okay?
I'll try.
Okay. Runner at 3rd, 1 out here in the 2nd, and it's 3-0 with Scott Rowland waiting on deck.
You let him hit right here, Bob?
No take sign, obviously. No signs, period. I didn't want that.
Let's see your steal sign. Let's hear your don't run sign. 3 balls and a strike. The opposite way, and that will get a run home. Piazza knocks home the run. National League leads it 1-0 on an RBI ground out by Mike Piazza.
Well, Mike,
I want to close that mic for just a brief while as Scott Rowland digs in with 2 out, nobody on, and a run home. So there you go, Tim McCarver. There's National League Baseball at its best. Get him on, balk him over, get him in.
Balk him over after having one guy thrown out at third.
That's the way you draw it up.
Right.
Ball one down and into Scott Rowland, who's starting at third. His teammate Jimmy Rollins is starting at short. It's the first time the Phillies have accomplished that since '79 with a guy named Schmidt and Larry Boa. Scott Rowland's manager for now, but for how long? Most likely not through the end of this season. On the outside corner, and the count's 1-2. You see so many trades happening already, and we'll get into that in a moment, and you will see more when play resumes here on Wednesday. With the uncertain future with the collective bargaining agreement, are they going to strike? What's going to happen in the next couple of months? I see a lot of teams dumping a lot of salary. There are players out there to be had as Rowland skies one into center, and that will end the bottom of the second. He caught the one over the wall. He's got to catch that, and that'll do it. A run for the National League. Knocked home by Piazza. After the out at third, then the balk, then the ground out, and it's 1-0 National League after 2. Back after this from your local Fox station. There's the new pitcher for the National League. Bob Brentley calls on Mike Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's their closer. 1-2 record, very good ERA, 25 saves on a team that is under 500, 38-49, and he will take on the American League Alfonso Soriano, then a pinch hitter, and then back to the top of the order Ichiro. The National League up 1-0 after 2. Mike Williams introduced himself to Mike Piazza before the start of the inning, and away we go. And Alfonso Soriano out in front. Joe Torre is down in the American League dugout. Joe, how good can Alfonso Soriano be?
You know, it's interesting. The mayor just asked me that same question. Do you think he's going to get better? There's no question. I don't know what the ceiling is here, Joe, but I know one thing: he has no fear. I mean, he's going to swing that bat, and he's got quick hands.
He has swung that bat twice and come up empty. 0-2. He seems to be getting more and more comfortable with second base as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he, as I say, he has no fear. And the one thing about him at the plate also, Joe, is when he has, I don't know how many, you know, what you're going to do here, but he likes to adjust by hitting the ball the other way, too.
He's got a guy on deck, Jeter, who could teach him a thing or two about that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hey, Joe, I remember when you took over with the Yankees and number 9 wasn't available. For good reason, I might add. And so they gave you number 6, and you said you were going to make pitching changes by walking out to the mound on your hands. You remember that?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't seen that yet.
I said a lot of foolish things.
You've come a long way in those days as the Yankee manager, haven't you?
Get a little giddy. When are you going to do that to you?
1 ball, 2 strikes on Soriano. 1 away. Tell me about Mayor Giuliani and how he fits into the Yankee scheme back home and what he means to you.
Well, Mayor Giuliani, I think, means a lot to everybody who's ever seen him work, and especially after 9/11. The courage he showed, the leadership he showed, and it didn't detract from the fact that he came out to the Yankee games knowing that, you know, he may not be safe no matter where he goes, but he has no fear either. He's quite a man, and you know, I thought it was a natural to invite him here, and he was gracious enough to accept.
One thing the audience should know, though, is that he had the option, Joe, of putting on a uniform,
right,
and he declined.
Yes, he did, but we have the uniform for him, and it's number 8, because that was, it still is his favorite, Yogi Berra.
Is he giving any signs?
He is giving signs, yeah. If he clasps his hands the other way,
it means a leadoff strikeout.
It means Jeter takes a pitch.
He did. It was a strike, and now he takes one outside. And
Jeter's paying attention. Excuse me, Joe. Joe, after those remarkable games in New York against the Diamondbacks last year, I don't think I've ever seen 3 World Series games as scintillating as those 3 were, and the comebacks the Yankees made.
You know, Tim, you've been in the middle of this thing so often. When everything's said and done, you know, you get caught up in the wins at Yankee Stadium, but everything's said and done, you try to analyze what happened. You realize that losing the World Series, sure, it's disappointing. But to win those 3 games in New York when New York needed a lift was really huge for us. But you're right. I don't remember any 2 consecutive games where that meant that much, were that exciting.
Well, Bob Brenly's in the other dugout. Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah, Joe.
Anything you want to say to Joe Torii on the heels of the last World Series? Anything left unsaid?
I don't think so, Joe. I think you guys pretty much covered it all. It was truly one of the greatest experiences of my life. I know it's probably getting old hat for Joe, but it was the best time I've ever had in a game of baseball.
You know, and I think they're going to change the rules. If they ever get the rules committee, I'd like to take a mulligan and be able to play the infield back. You know.
How'd our guy Brenly do matching wits with you in that last World Series?
Well, he's wearing the ring, isn't he? Bob is, I mean, catchers, I'm a little partial anyway. Catchers are pretty smart people, and the whole thing, we get to talk to more people than anybody else because the hitters come up, and I know conversations that Mr. McCarvey used to have with all the hitters, and I think it helps the communication skills.
Have you been able to get together at all prior to this All-Star game and help guide him through what can be a harrowing experience trying to put these teams together?
Well, just have fun with it, and you certainly have to stay on your toes because he's used to it now in the National League, but making all these changes. And you know, the one thing you don't want to have happen is the pitcher have to hit in a certain situation, but it's tough to keep from happening, especially if you get in one of those long games.
Count's gone to 3-0 on Ichiro. Well, we asked Bob Brenly. I'll ask you, if Ichiro gets on, you got Hillenbrand coming up, an obvious running situation. What's your run sign?
They're on their own. I told them, I said, even when I gave the run sign to Edgar Martinez and it took him about a day and a half to get the second, I still let him run anyway.
Takes one away. Tremendous play by Vidro. After we saw a great one out of Hunter back in the second. What a play by Vidro to end the inning. Well, he wanted a mulligan. He can't get it. The infield's in. And there it goes. Diamondbacks world champions. We're through 2.5, 1-0. National League here in Milwaukee. New pitcher for the American League, Roy Halladay, representing the Toronto Blue Jays. Second pitcher of the night for the AL, and first pitch swinging. Rollins gets one past Soriano. I'm going to call it a base hit. I may be overruled by the official score. That was a tough play, and Luis Gonzalez will be the pinch hitter coming up to bat for Mike Williams.
Not overruled by me, Joe. As far as I'm concerned, that's a base hit. The in-between hop, I think, is the reason that's a base hit. Short hop is a much easier play. That ball ate him up.
Really, there's nothing Soriano can do. He can't lay back.
Nope.
He's got to charge it and hope, and he didn't make the play. It is a base hit. So Rollins is on to start the inning. National League leading 1-0 in the bottom of the third, and here's Gonzalez, who got that World Series winning hit, Game 7 last November. Runner goes, and a foul outside first. A little hit and run action.
Well, Jimmy Rollins last year at Safeco Field in Seattle, you may remember, stole second base. I think Jimmy was running, and Luis Gonzalez was hacking. Gonzalez that hit last year, and Joe Torre kidding about the infield being in. If you relate that to golf.
That's a diving stop by Giambi, and they don't get the lead runner. Giambi content to go to the bag. He had a shot at Rollins, didn't take it, and a runner at second with 1 out.
We have seen the third good defensive play, and we are only in the third inning. Fine play by Giambi. He really had a play at second base, but not in throwing position, so he retreated to first. But on that base hit by Gonzalez, I think if you relate it to golf, you realize that chipping is as important as hitting a ball down the fairway 280 yards.
With 1 out, Vidro punches one foul down the left field line, and you can see by the way that ball just jumped and where it ended up that it doesn't take much to get it out of Miller Park. And there were some gargantuan home runs hit in the home run derby here last night. Sammy Sosa, 520 plus feet on one of them. Runner at second, one out, and Vidro is well on his way to a career high in RBIs. He's knocked home 58. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Giambi was the winner of that competition, as we mentioned earlier. If Vidro can't do it, Todd Helton is in the on-deck circle. That's the opposite way. Ramirez going to get it. Playing 2 out. Well, we said it, so let's see it. Todd Helton playing in Tennessee in '93 and '94. He started several games at quarterback in the '94 season. That season, Peyton Manning was a freshman. And there's one of his touchdown throws, now swinging a bat for a living and making a good living for the Colorado Rockies. National League already leads, and Helton trying to add to it. He will, as he knocks home Rollins with a base hit into center. A-Rod got a glove on it, couldn't keep it on the infield, and Helton has knocked home the second run of the night.
Major League infielders are trained with 2 out and a runner on at second base to play it a little deeper than they would normally play and at least try to knock the ball down. Rodriguez tries that off the end of the glove, and the National League adds to their lead. Once it's by Rodriguez, Rollins scores easily.
And that hit also extends the inning for Barry Bonds. Robbed of a home run his first time, he takes ball 1. Hit a fly ball into center field, and Torii Hunter, the reigning Gold Glove Award winner in the American League, playing center field, went up and brought it back. 2-0. Four-time MVP is Barry Bonds, with Sammy Sosa waiting on deck. And Bonds may break a 61-year-old record once held by Ted Williams. If he keeps up his pace with his on-base percentage, 562. Big reason why. The 109 walks he's already accumulated in the first half. He'll easily shatter his own walk record this season. He should. Bonds swinging on 3-0. Goes deep into right. Nobody's bringing that back. 4-0 National League. Bonds didn't do much in the home run derby, but here he's come close once and now hit a line drive into right to make it 4-0 and a kiss for his son.
Barry Bonds has his own individual home run derby. And he hit that home run against a pitcher who has allowed the fewest home runs in the major league since the beginning of last year. Ray Halladay.
Will win. 2 out, nobody on. Halladay misses inside with ball 1.
Goodness.
Watch out, Sammy Sosa. He glares out at Roy Halladay. Sammy didn't like that in the 73rd Midsummer Classic. 2-0. He was going to swing no matter where that pitch was delivered. It's 2-1.
That pitch could have been 4 feet outside. As it was, only about 8 inches.
That's an old Sammy Sosa swing. That's something that he has cut back on every year. The reason why he has been traded twice in his career from Texas to the White Sox, and then across town, the White Sox to the Cubs. And every year he's been getting better at laying off those pitches. They used to fool him in the past. Loaded, full count, 3-2. See that swing and the connection by Bonds, who obviously have already honored Ted Williams. Everybody talked about the hips of Ted Williams, getting him out of the way, opening him up, getting through the zone, and Bonds very similar to that, although much bigger. Williams, those great hips, and Bonds. You can't hit that many home runs if you don't get out of the way.
I don't think anybody stays behind the ball any better than Barry Bonds. As you said, Joe, clearing those hips right there. He is so quick.
That was the old Sammy Sosa in that at bat. Halladay knocked him off the plate, then struck him out. But the National League comes up with 3, capped on that by number 4 on the all-time list. 4-0 National League. Here is our RadioShack.com trivia question. Robin Ventura and Benito Santiago are appearing tonight after a 10-year absence from the All-Star game. Our RadioShack.com All-Star trivia question: who played the most seasons between All-Star selections? This is one of those, Tim, that you may know. Again, this is one of those, Tim, that you may not. New pitcher is Odalis Perez. Third of the night for the National League, takes over for Mike Williams, and this is outside with ball 1. Here are the changes. Get out your pencils and your erasers. Richie Sexson is at first base. Junior Spivey takes over at second base for Jose Vidro. There are more. Lance Berkman, the man who leads the world in home runs and RBIs, is in left. Sean Green is in right. And then there's Perez, who was basically a throw-in in the deal between the Dodgers and the Braves. Gary Sheffield went to Atlanta, and Ryan Jordan went to L.A. Count goes to 2-1.
That rejuvenated Los Angeles Dodger lineup and ball club, who is 2.5 ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League West. They play a big weekend series this weekend in Los Angeles.
That is launched into left field off the bat of Hillenbrand and back to the track, to the wall, and caught for the first out. Allowed out. Let's go down to Steve Lyons with Barry Bonds.
All right, Joe. Barry, first things first, let's talk about the first ball that you hit out of the park, but you didn't get anything out of it. Torii Hunter had said one guy that he'd love to rob a home run ball would be you, and he did it.
Come true. That was a great play. And I never faced Lowe before. I've watched him on TV a lot. You know, he's got a good sinker ball. He throws a good changeup, and you know, he threw a little cutter in on me. And I got out there in the first one a little too soon. I said, you know, stay patient. I got the second one, and I thought I got it, but Torii made a great play.
The second time around, you take a 3-0 pitch, you take that one out of here, and no one was bringing that one back.
No, you know, I faced him before, so it was really good. You know, we played Interleague, and we had the opportunity to play Toronto, so I was familiar with him, seen him pitch before, so I had a little bit of an advantage.
I know you haven't been feeling good. Your plane was late getting in here. You've had a lot of things to do while you're at the All-Star game. Nice to be able to get out and just sit around and enjoy the rest of this one. Yeah, this is great. This is fun. You know, what they did here today for the memorable moments and stuff is phenomenal. You know, Milwaukee's, you know, it's a great city. The fans turned out, and, you know, we're proud to be here. And we're proud to have you around. That was a great play out there. All right, guys, let's go back to you.
All right, Steve, thanks. And thanks to Barry Bonds, and congratulations to Barry Bonds as Alex Rodriguez strikes out. You are looking right now at the Triple X cam up above Miller Park here in Milwaukee. Vin Diesel is a new breed of secret agent in Triple X, opening everywhere in theaters August 9th. There's a shot of Miller Park down below. Beautiful night here in Milwaukee. The temperature way down from yesterday. I'm guessing what, Tim? Help me out. Low 70s?
Oh, yeah. Very, very comfortable. Yesterday, mid-90s, hot, sticky. The rains came through, as you mentioned earlier. It is delightful tonight.
Here's Giambi with 2 out, nobody on. Rodriguez struck out. Odalis Perez, one of the many pitchers who's gone through that ligament transplant surgery, the Tommy John surgery. He's come back throwing harder. That had a wrinkle on it. The count evens 1 ball, 1 strike. Giambi struck out his first time. It was probably the last at bat for Alex Rodriguez, with 21 shortstops on the roster for the American League. This will probably be it for Giambi as he singles into center field with 2 out. So Giambi is on, and Manny Ramirez will get a chance to hit.
Perez trying to sneak the fastball by Giambi unsuccessfully. mentioned the 5 shortstops that the American League is carrying. Other than the outfield positions and, of course, pitchers, it's the most carried by a position in All-Star game history. 5 shortstops in the game tonight.
Alex Rodriguez, one of the 5. You remember the discussion and the argument used to be, all right, who would you take? Would you take A-Rod? Would you take Jeter? Or would you take Garciaparra? Now you can add Tejada, and Vizquel's always been there with his glove. But the conversation and the discussion and the arguments always centered around those first 3. What you can see by those numbers, and injury had a lot to do with it with Garciaparra, is Alex Rodriguez has separated himself from the other 2. As that one gets away from Piazza, the former Dodger can't catch the current Dodger, and down to second is Giambi on what could very well be a pass ball.
Thanks, I didn't hear Kurt. Kurt gave me
that ball did not hit the ground. Breaking ball. You're right, Alex Rodriguez, and it will be a pass ball on Mike Piazza. But Alex Rodriguez has separated himself from a talent standpoint. But Derek Jeter, from what he has done in postseason play and for what he has given the New York Yankees, has separated himself as far as a postseason money player. That play last year in Oakland, I don't think anybody will ever forget it.
A runner at second with 2 out, and a 1-0 pitch coming to Manny Ramirez. American League not on the board. They're down 4-0. You see a Yankee at second base. The Boston Red Sox best at the plate. The recent acquisitions by the Yankees, first Raul Mondesi and then last Friday Jeff Weaver, certainly makes the Yankees a better team. No doubt about that. And Weaver is one of the best young pitchers who's locked up in a long-term deal.
Take care of him for us, Dad.
It certainly makes the Yankees better, but it could also have another effect, which is to galvanize these owners who say, there go the Yankees again, and George Steinbrenner's up to it again. We can't compete. As Ramirez dumps one into right field, that ball's going to get down and put the American League on the board. In to score is Giambi, and holding it first is Manny Ramirez. But George Steinbrenner's always in the middle of it. And the Yankees, I saw more reactions. We were in St. Louis last weekend, Dodgers, Cardinals, guys scratching their head going, how do these GMs and clubs keep dumping players like they're dumping into the laps of the Yankees? And I think Bud Selig could have stepped in and blocked the Mondesi deal because it involved a transaction of over $1 million cash. But
about 6 push-outs later.
Because of 2 reasons. A, it could help his case with the competitive imbalance. And on the other side, he doesn't step in the way of George Steinbrenner as Bud Selig tries to build a consensus. He can still count on George Steinbrenner as an ally. With a runner at first, 2 out, no balls and a strike, and Posada now in the hole 0-2.
There's the trade right there. Raul Mondesi from Toronto to the Yankees for Scott Wiggins, and then Jeff Weaver, who had 1 start for the Yankees on Sunday. I don't know how Bud Selig, as the commissioner of baseball, can block a trade when in essence he's responsible for the trades of the Montreal Expos.
Well, that's a whole other mess.
That is a mess.
Because in the end, Major League Baseball benefits because the Montreal Expos' value as a team has shot up.
Right.
With the addition of Bartolo Colon.
And the possible addition of Cliff Floyd of the Florida Marlins. That has been talked about.
Posada stays at the plate, a ball and 2 strikes. But who benefits from that? Major League Baseball, because they run the Expos. That being said, I'm tickled to see Omar Minaya get a chance to be a general manager and do the job that he's doing, running the Montreal Expos in an odd situation. And it's not like the Expos are on the verge of anything. What they're hoping for is to hang in the wild card race. And they're on the edge of that. As Posada strikes out, the inning comes to a close. And that'll do it, but the American League is on the board. A hit, a pass ball, and an RBI single by Manny Ramirez. 4-1 National League after 3 1/2. New pitcher in the game is Mark Burley, representing the Chicago White Sox, and he misses with ball 1 to Vladimir Guerrero. Paul Konerko takes over at first base, also with the White Sox. Giambi is finished, and Robin Ventura, now with the New York Yankees, is over at third. Other changes: Garrett Anderson of the Angels is in left field, and over in right, Randy Wynn takes over for Ichiro. Guerrero spun out of there by Burley, the pride of St. Charles, Missouri. A 12-game winner. Guerrero checks his swing. And the count 3-1. Only player in Expos history to have 30+ home runs and do it at the pace that he has done it. How many general managers, Tim, were just salivating and lining up, hoping that if the Expos got contracted, Guerrero would end in their lap? That's on the outside corner, and Burley comes back to strike out Guerrero, one away. And let's go down to Kevin Kennedy, who's standing by with Jason Giambi.
Thanks, Joe. Jason, the Yankees are the team that can spend all the money, and of course it goes right to you last winter, signing with New York. The Yankees recently traded for Mondesi and Jeff Weaver. And everybody says this is what's wrong with Major League Baseball. How do you respond to that?
I respond, the boss wants to win, and that's all that's important to him. Actually, the things we ended up with Mondi because nobody wanted him. They called over, nobody wanted to get him, so we ended up getting him. And then on top of that, we had a few trades with the A's to get Tad Lilly, and we ended up getting Weaver. But, bottom line is the boss wants to win.
I have to bring this up because it is of issue, the labor talks. How are we going to get this thing settled, Jason? And with the big market, small market, big revenue, small revenue teams, and we're here in a small revenue market right now in Milwaukee. How are we going to get this thing done?
Well, he's got to jam everybody up in that room and sit them down and hopefully get to come some type of agreement. I mean, there's an agreement to be reached, and I think everybody's going to be happy, but they got to sit down and talk.
Okay, thanks, Jason. 1 for 2 tonight. Base hit. Okay. All right, Joe. Back upstairs.
Thanks, Kevin. I think we could all only hope that they would jam everybody into a big room and get it straightened out. And it's kind of a wake me up when it's over and let me know how it all shook out, but that isn't reality. No balls, 2 strikes on Piazza, and a jam shot into right, easy for Wynn. 2 out. We heard from Jason Giambi with Kevin Kennedy. Here's what Giambi had to say to Richie Sexson when he got to first base last inning.
It's like, huh? Oh, you pull that cage away. It's tough. It seems like, and the ball feels like 1,000,000 miles an hour compared to everything else.
Here's Scott Rowland as he takes a pitch down and in. One ball, 1 strike.
I think Giambi was talking about when he said pull that cage away. He was talking about what happened before last night's All-Star game. Richie Sexson and Jason Giambi, both in the All-Star game representing their leagues. Giambi, as Joe said earlier, won it. The cage they were talking about was a batting cage, I assume.
Home run derby, said the pitcher looks like he's 1,000,000 miles away, and that's a flare caught by Soriano. And this game heads into the 5th inning. Giambi finished for the rest of the night. We'll see more All-Stars, new players when we come back. 5th inning. It's 4-1 National League. Welcome back to Milwaukee. Our RadioShack.com trivia question. Robin Ventura and Benito Santiago are appearing tonight after a 10-year absence from the All-Star game. Our RadioShack.com All-Star trivia question. Who played the most seasons between All-Star selections? The answer, Bert Blyleven. Appeared in 1973, then again in 1985. Here's a perennial All-Star in the booth next to us, Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker.
Joe, how are you? Nice to see you, Tim.
How you doing, Uecker?
Great to be here with you guys.
You didn't know there was a game here tonight, right?
No, I'm driving on the freeway. I was coming back from fishing. I'm saying, what's the lights on at Miller Park for? We're supposed to be off, And then I see all the cars out here. There's a crowd in there. I just stopped in, pick up some stuff in the clubhouse. I see all the National League guys here, and I'm Joe Torii. I see Frank down in, what's he doing here?
He's wherever Joe goes.
Yeah,
Did you know that back then?
I'm figuring the Yankees are in Chicago, because they're coming up here for entertainment. There's Frank Torii right there. Boy.
There's your guy.
Well, they should have replaced a lot of other things on Frank.
Oh, man.
I love Frank. I saw him downstairs earlier tonight. He's a beauty. He's a former teammate.
Sure. Pop up on the infield off the bat of Torii Hunter and into the glove of Rollins. We're going to lose McCarver here for a minute because every time you show up, he starts cackling and he can't say anything.
I'm sorry. If it wasn't for Frank and Joe Torre, I could have been a decent player. I roomed with both those guys.
You did?
Terrible. Yeah.
Room with me too.
I roomed with Timmy too, but you were decent, you know. At least you let me in the room.
You guys used to run around after games.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah. Unfortunately, I always had my uniform on. Tim was always in civvies. I just wanted everybody to know I was a player.
And you were married back then?
Not to Tim. We went through this. I went through this with your dad.
Why do you think I'm doing it?
I loved it very much. Your dad was here one day. Tim and your dad were doing a game, Joe, and I did. I loved your dad, and I came over here to sit with Tim and Jack, and we're talking about the Cardinals and all the good times we had and everything else. And
here's a shot into left center by Soriano. Goodbye. 20 already during the regular season, and he has made this a 2-run game. There aren't many players who have come along lately like Alfonso Soriano.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, that guy's something.
20 home runs in the first half. He leads Major League Baseball in total bases. And he's a good guy on top of it all. And he just launches one here in the 5th inning against Eric Gagne, who has been almost perfect out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. He's the clear pitcher of the night for the National League.
Anyway, your dad was talking about the season in 1964 when we won the World Championship, and he said, you and Tim were married then, weren't you? I said, no, we weren't married. We were just good friends. Don't start stuff like that. That's how stuff starts.
There's strike get out of the booth. There's strike one on Garrett Anderson, who's batting in the number 9 spot. You grew up as a Milwaukee kid.
Yes, I did.
You watched the Brewers of the American Association, right?
Absolutely.
Orchard Field?
Orchard Field, you bet.
And now you get a chance to play here and you get a chance to broadcast here. That's how you become Mr. Milwaukee.
I don't know about that. I was the first native Milwaukeean to be signed by the Braves, which I thought was pretty neat. And then I was the first native Milwaukee to be sent to the minor leagues by the Braves, too. So that was pretty unique, too.
Let's clear this up, Tim McCarver. You were a catcher. Bob Uecker was a catcher. He makes fun of his career. How good of a catcher was Bob Uecker?
If I could catch and throw like you, I wouldn't still be playing, but I'd have been a better player, I'll tell you that.
It was the arm, right?
It was. The greatest thing about Uecker was the 1964 World Series when you shag flies before Game 1 with the tuba.
It cost me $250. I didn't catch them all. Some
Bob
hit the rim.
sent you the bill.
Yeah, he did. I caught a couple went down the hole, and then about 6 or 7 hit the rim and damaged that thing pretty badly. I went and put it back down on the field, and the guy saw it. So I took it out of my check, $250.
And what occasion?
So that meant I owed the Cardinals 70.
Were there frequently tubas just laying out on the field?
No, they did it during the World Series, Joe. They had 3 Dixieland bands playing on the field, and I went over and picked one up.
This is Randy Wynn, and he slices one down the left field line, extra bases for the Tampa Bay Devil Ray. Wynn, who's put together a very good first half. No kidding, Joe. He's an all-star, but he is a representative for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and he's at second. All of a sudden, the tying run's coming to the plate. Robin Ventura after this double by Wynn.
I heard you and Tim talking earlier about George Steinbrenner and the things that are happening in New York. I was down at the Yankee clubhouse, or I should say down with Joe Torre in the American League clubhouse, and I told Joe, I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I just heard that George Steinbrenner bought Fenway Park so the Yankees would have another home place to play and then cut down on some of the road trips. Like on days off, they could let the Red Sox play.
Joe's listening to us right now. Huh, Joe? Is that true?
Is it true? I'm not sure. I mean, I've been away for 24 hours. Anything's liable to happen.
Hi, Joe.
What do you say there, Sarge?
Joe is a roommate. Man, what a great guy. Beautiful.
Messy guy, Joe Torre?
I don't know. He wasn't in very often, so it was easy to room with him.
Joe didn't like when I brought my car in the apartment.
As soon as he came over to Atlanta to catch Phil Niekro, I broke my ankle, and he had a catch, and that
every day.
That got him on Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, man. I went from like a 7 1/4 hat size to a 5 3/8 in 2 weeks, playing every day because Joe couldn't play because he had a broken leg. I mean, come on. What's a cast?
Did you hear Joe Torre drop a Mr. Belvedere on you?
Yeah, I heard him.
Huh? 73rd All-Star game, and he can't let Mr. Belvedere go.
Still in syndication, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Good being with you guys.
All right, you.
I love you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Belvedere, Mr.
Thanks, Jim.
Baseball, Mr. Milwaukee, bottom of the 5th. What's the score? It's 4-2 National League. We're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are into the bottom of the 5th inning of the 73rd Midsummer Classic. And Jimmy Rollins is leading it off for the National League. Rollins, then Damian Miller, who took over the last half inning, batting in the number 9 spot, and Junior Spivey of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Second inning of work for Burley, and Rollins greets him here in the 5th with a base hit. Now it's time to take a look at our Pepsi fan cam. Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated.
We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hello, Levine. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Carmine. How's that?
Pretty good.
All right.
Not bad at all.
1 on, nobody out. Damian Miller. Yes, that's Damian Miller, the catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And how can you blame Bob Brenly? Bring his catcher along with him to the All-Star game
instead of Paul LaDuca of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Always have to bring up the catcher. LaDuca, and you got to bring him up. But LaDuca, you can make a strong case for him being here as well.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Paul LaDuca, one of the fine catchers in Major League Baseball for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Terrific hitter.
Some defensive changes for the American League. As Miller hits one into left center field, well hit. Back at the wall, it's off the wall. Rollins will scoot over to third. They will bring him to the plate. The throw by Tejada, not in time. And it's 5-2 National League on a double by Damian Miller. Rollins can absolutely fly.
He stopped 3/4 of the way to second base, was going back to first base, and waved on by Frank Robinson, the third base coach. Damian Miller in Miller Park, a double to left center field. But because this ball went so far, watch Jimmy Rollins. He has to wait. And he turns on the burner right there and scores rather handily. Throw off line. And the National League tacks on.
So Damian Miller, in his first at bat in the All-Star game, doubles into left center field to make it a 5-2 National League lead. And Burley hits the inside corner with a strike. Still nobody out. And here is Junior Spivey, one of the biggest surprises in the National League. Bob Brenly's been watching him every day. Hit over 300 for the Diamondbacks. So he is here as an All-Star. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bob Brenly, how can you bring all these guys with you? Have you no shame?
They're all good players, Joe. That's why.
I know.
Especially this guy right here. He's having a heck of a year.
Runner at second, nobody out. Spivey is jammed. He's got to be a big surprise though for you. You didn't expect this.
Well, I'm not quite sure we knew what to expect from him. You know, he came up last year for about a month and really lit it up. But as Timmy will tell you, you start whacking that fastball around and suddenly everything's spinning your way. And he had some trouble adjusting to the breaking ball. He worked hard on it this winter, and he's a new man this year, laying off those tough pitches.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Damian Miller at second, and Spivey fights off another.
Bob, you telling us before the game that Craig Counsell may be your most valuable player this year in the first half.
Yeah, he really has been, Timmy. I mean, he's a guy that has played third base most of the time with the injury to Matt Williams, but he's played some short, he's played some second, driving in big runs for us. He's among the league leaders in hitting with runners in scoring position. He has really kind of been the glue that's held our team together.
Matt Williams will be back this weekend, Bob?
That's what we're anticipating right now, Tim. He's on a rehab assignment right now, and everything's been going real good. Matty feels great physically and getting some at-bats down in the minor leagues, and we expect to have him back very shortly.
Did you expect the Dodgers were going to be that good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't think there was any question they would. I think Eric Gagne has been a little bit of a surprise going from a starter to a closer and making that conversion as quickly as he did. But they got a great ball club, and Jim Tracy does a nice job of that team.
Spivey drives one down the left field side. It's foul, and you can see why Bob Brenly likes Junior Spivey with the kind of at bat he's had here against Mark Burley. If the Dodgers are playing the way they're playing, and they're about to get Dreifert back, who we understand is throwing the heck out of the ball, and after he can stabilize his back, they hope to get Kevin Brown back. But been a lot of things happen to Kevin Brown the last couple of years. Spivey strikes out after a pretty good effort against Burley. That's the first out of the inning. Runner at second, one away.
Good breaking ball from Burley.
Looks like they kind of took that logo from the that football league, the XFL. It lives on. He hate me. It lives on. Runner at second, one out. After a strikeout of Spivey. And this is Lance Berkman. Raise your hand out there if you've ever heard of Lance Berkman and you don't live in Texas. Well, you should have. He's a switch hitting center fielder who has hit 29 home runs. That leads the world. 81 RBIs already. And he is just getting his feet fully wet at the big league level. He is a tremendous talent. Runner at second, one out. And that's going to hop out of play, 1-2. A guy could get spoiled managing a team like this, Bob Brenly.
Tell me, go ahead and spoil me. This is great.
You know you're winning 5-2.
Well, you trying to put the whammy on us now?
Hey, I'm just saying. You're matched up against Joe Torii again, and you're winning 5-2.
Well, we got a lot of ball game left and all those other cliches.
Okay. One pitch at a time. Trying to help the club any way he can as Berkman hits it off the end of the bat. That's Omar Vizquel, one of the 3 defensive changes. If you wondered who would take over, and we're going to get Richie Sexson, the hometown hero, to walk in here. Vizquel, one of the 5 shortstops, is in at second base taking over for Soriano. Tejada's in at short, and Johnny Damon is in at center. So the defense for the American League is new up the middle. A nice hand from this Milwaukee crowd for Richie Sexson, who's hit 19 home runs, driven in 62, and has a .282 average in the first half. Runner at third, 2 out. Ball one from Burley. How tall is this guy, Tim?
6'7". About 6'7" and a half. As tall as Frank Howard is and was.
That's a play by Ventura. Takes care of Sexson. And the inning comes to a close. Damian Miller. That's why Bob Brenly picked him. Adds to the National League lead. It's 5-2 after 5 in Milwaukee. Here is tonight's game summary brought to you by Subway. Barry Bonds, a 2-run home run. Second career All-Star home run. That came back in a 3-run third inning. Curt Schilling was strong at the start. Jimmy Rollins 2 for 2. Now he's out of there. And Alfonso Soriano hit a solo home run for the American League in the 5th. We're in the 6th inning now, and Miguel Tejada is at the plate first at bat. Jose Hernandez of the hometown Milwaukee Brewers is in at short. The new pitcher is Trevor Hoffman. 20 saves on a struggling team. And his specialty pitch, his out pitch, you don't normally associate with closers, is a changeup. His fastball is not overpowering unless combined with that good changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Missed inside, 2-1.
Trevor is similar to Eric Gagne, who worked a couple of innings ago, and that both in Southern California are succeeding with that straight change and have for years. There's Eric.
4th time as an All-Star for Trevor Hoffman. The count evens 2 balls, 2 strikes. One stretch, Hoffman converted 27 consecutive saves. Baseball's all-time leader in save percentage. He has had a tremendous career in San Diego.
Not bad for a guy who started out as a shortstop. His brother, the third base coach of the Dodgers.
Down and in, full count. After Tejada, it's Konerko. and then the pitcher's spot. So, as is the norm, there is action in both bullpens. Zito getting loose for the AL. His teammate Tejada pops it up into right. That's Sean Green. First time we mentioned Green, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. What a night he had here in Milwaukee. Actually, afternoon, 19 total bases. One of 2 guys to hit 4 home runs in 1 game this season. Green has led the Dodgers to the top of the NL West. Here's Paul Konerko.
It's a good segue by you, partner, because Sean Green has been about as hot as Paul Konerko, the White Sox, has been.
And Konerko, a former Dodger farmhand. All you heard about the Dodgers. Wait till you see Konerko. This guy can hit. He can do everything. He's played first and third. Wait till you see him. And then shortly after we saw him, he was traded to Cincinnati. And then they traded him to the White Sox for Mike Cameron. And then Cincinnati turned Cameron around and traded him eventually to Seattle as a big piece of the puzzle, getting Ken Griffey Jr.
In baseball, it used to be that the Dodgers would build up a minor league prospect to the point where other teams would salivate, and then they would get that prospect, and he wouldn't be as good as they thought he was. Well, Konerko is.
That's into right center field and will not be caught. One hop over the wall for a double. We came in talking about how pitching has dominated these all-star games lately, and it has not done that at all. A total of 7 runs and 13 hits already.
Barry Bonds with 1 home run, robbed of another home run by Torii Hunter, and that ball by Konerko smoked to right center.
A.J. Pierzynski of the Twins is going to pinch hit. He bats for Burley, who went 2 innings. He allowed 1 run on 2 hits, struck out 2, walked none. Again, Zito is the one warming up for the AL as Pierzynski takes a strike of the outside corner. There's Barry Zito getting loose. Obviously, Tim, A.J. Pierzynski is doing something right in Minnesota, guiding that pitching staff toward the top of the AL Central. And they enjoy a big lead over the Chicago White Sox, 7.5 games here at the All-Star break.
That's with a lot of pitchers that they did not expect would be pitching for them this year.
Reaching for it, and that's easy for Sexton. 2 out. Take a look at the first half. The good and the bad. The good, small market success. Minnesota, Montreal second in the NL East and hoping to hang in the wild card chase. Anaheim brilliantly led by Mike Scioscia. Cincinnati hanging in there 2 games behind the Cardinals. And then some disappointments. Cubs, and that's already cost Don Baylor his job. The New York Mets, that big payroll, 4th in the NL East. Hunter at third, 2 out. Ball 1 to Jorge Posada. The Mets finished the quote-unquote first half under 500, 12.5 games out behind Atlanta. Good fastball from Hoffman, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a Met fan. Last year it was Bobby Valentine in the National League dugout as the manager after winning the NL pennant and losing to the Yankees in the Subway Series in 2000. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Posada.
There is another Bobby to the south of Bobby Valentine, and that's Bobby Cox. The Atlanta Braves could be on their way to winning their 11th consecutive Eastern Division. They have the best record in baseball as we speak, and there's one of the big reasons for it. Tommy Glavine.
There's that changeup from Hoffman. He gets the strikeout, pitches a scoreless 6th inning. Bottom half, National League bats with Sean Green set to lead it off. 5-2 National League. Down below Miller Park, and we get into the bottom of the 6th inning. Here is Barry Zito. He may be around for only 1 batter, maybe 2. He gets to face a left-hander here, Sean Green, and it's fair to say that Barry's a little out there.
He is a free thinker.
Okay.
And a free spirit. He certainly is.
Calms himself with yoga, incense, carries stuffed animals and his special pillows on the road. But he's good.
Real good.
He's got a great curveball. He's got a pretty good fastball. And he has been on quite a roll since last All-Star break as he misses with ball 2, 2-0.
Joe, there's a great article about Barry in the June Esquire as Eddie Guardado warms.
2 balls, no strikes, and that's the opposite way for Tejada. Across the infield, 1 away. Sean Green retired, and here's Barry Zito doing his thing.
In terrific condition. Joe Torre's coming out, but that article written by Chris Jones in Esquire said that Zito's curveball broke like a broken, or it drops like a broken heart.
Barry can go into the clubhouse, cue the music, and start to stretch. Feel at peace, Barry. You faced one, you retired. Eddie Guardado leads the American League with 26 saves. This is his first career All-Star appearance, but he has been working hard over the years to try and get here. One of the most active pitchers in all of baseball out of any bullpen. Finally, the closer's job is his, and he has been very successful. Here's Andrew Jones first at bat, and there's a strike on the outside corner. Andrew Jones, one of the players that was voted in on the internet. Johnny Damon got into the All-Star game that way for the American League.
They were the 30th players on each roster.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jones.
Eddie Guardado, by the way, appropriately named Everyday Eddie. He will toe the mound every day he's called on.
Some of the rules are obviously out the window in a game of this sort. We talk to Joe Torre and Bob Brenly and have them talk to one another between dugouts. But even the uniform rules are relaxed as Eddie Guardado is wearing white shoes. Foul tip and the count stays 1-2. I remember as a kid watching when some of the Cardinals like Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith, who's here tonight, would wear white shoes. It was like their big rebellious moment, and Guardado obviously took those from a local bowling alley.
The Oakland Athletics back in the early 70s with the white shoes, and Charlie Finley.
Andrew Jones strikes out, 2 down.
Little backup slider by Guardado to get Andrew Jones.
A guy who has become a very good player playing here in Milwaukee is Jose Hernandez. His first at bat gets a nice hand, 13 home runs, average better than 280, and more than that, he's turned himself into a very dependable defensive shortstop. I'm sure there are going to be some teams lined up to try and get him and add him to a stretch drive. Strike 1.
It is such an important position, one of the most important on defense, of course. Does all the things necessary defensively. The one problem, Jose strikes out a lot, 185 times last year, swinging through the first 2 pitches by Guardado.
So it's 0-2. We will stay here at the end of the 6th inning for a special time and some more ceremony here in this All-Star game in Milwaukee. Hernandez stays up there. Ralph Branca, Bobby Thompson, Don Larson, some of the names that will be honored here at the end of this inning. Still 0-2 as Guardado tries to pick up for Zito. It's a 5-2 game. That's the score. National League on top. The bottom of the 6th. It's 1-2. relax in the dugout watching as their new teammate, Jose Hernandez, stays up there.
One of the interesting things, Joe, about the All-Star game, you saw Lance Berkman, Sean Green. Outfielders are very friendly with one another in the clubhouse. I mean, keep in mind, you've been competing against these guys all season. The corners on the infield are very friendly with one another. However, pitchers, catchers, and the middle infielders, because of their proximity to battle and conflict, are a little bit standoffish.
Even in today's game.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yep.
Hernandez strikes out. Derzinski will chuck it down to first, and that'll do it for the first 6 innings here in the 73rd All-Star game. The National League on top 5-2 here in Milwaukee. The fans wanted him here, at least the fans who logged on and voted, and Johnny Damon is here and leading it off in the 7th inning. First at bat. National League on top 5-2 as we play in the 7th inning. Damon, then Vizquel, then Garrett Anderson for the American League, facing Mike Remlinger. Lance Berkman comes in from left to play first base. Sexton is finished. One of my favorite young players in the National League, Adam Dunn, is in left. Andrew Jones stays in the game. He's in center. There's a strike from Remlinger, a late add-on to the National League roster. 2 balls and a strike. Tim, we are in the presence of greatness yet again.
Got that right.
And we have taken a step up from you, at least broadcasting wise. To the right side, and Damon's going to win that race as Remlinger comes up limping. If Bobby Cox is watching, can't like watching Remlinger limp after getting past first base. It's an infield hit for Johnny Damon. I'm only sticking up for Frank Torii when I say that we've taken a step forward after Bob Uecker. What an honor it is to be joined by Mr. Ernie Harwell. Ernie, this is your last year in the broadcast booth as we understand it, and we wanted to give you the proper credit and send off those of us with Fox here at this All-Star.
Well, thank you very much. I'm flattered by that. I'm honored, and I'm very pleased. I'm happy to be here.
Listen to that voice, man. That's baseball. Not what I have. That's baseball. You were a writer,
right?
You were a songwriter, and you kind of have a lyrical style, don't you?
Well, I don't know what they call it, but I have written a few songs. I tell people I got more no-hitters than Nolan Ryan, but they're all in the song business.
They're checking on Mike Remlinger to make sure he's all right after limping, and Bob Brenly is the one in charge of making the decision. And we take a look at the replay.
I think what may have happened, Mike, when he finished his follow-through, he was going toward third base. He had to recover and hurriedly go to first base. He is late in covering and coming up lame, but he's going to stay in the game.
All right. I was told that you were once traded for by Branch Rickey.
That's true.
That's true. You were an announcer.
I was an announcer in Atlanta during the Atlanta Cracker games in the Southern League, and the great Red Barber became ill on a trip to Pittsburgh. Mr. Rickey called my boss, Earl Mann, and asked if I could come up and replace him. Earl Mann said, I've got him under contract, but if you want Ernie, send me your catcher clip down from Montreal. So I was traded for minor league catcher.
You knew that story, Tim, right?
I certainly did. This catcher with a rocket to second base. Damian Miller could not have made a finer play. A great jump by Damon. And Ernie, you see them more than we do. Johnny Damon's given the Red Sox more speed this year.
He has picked them up. He sure has. He can lead off, hit number 2, and he plays a great outfield.
There's Sean Green going and getting it to his left. Damon will tag and try to advance and make it. Good play with 1 out. I want to let you do what you're comfortable doing if you want to do a little play-by-play, but I want to say this. In the wake of the passing of my father, and with you stepping aside and retiring, a part of, if not all of the old guard is starting to leave. I think of Vince Scully off the top of my head as guys who have been around for a long, long time. I realized by the reaction people had in St. Louis and beyond to the passing of my father, the opportunity that you have as a voice of a team and a city to make a difference. And Ernie, you have made a difference in Detroit, in New York, wherever you have been. But it is there, and I know you feel it, don't you?
Well, I think it's something that happens. A fella comes into a region and he's there 4 or 5 years, and whether he's good or bad, people get used to him. It's sort of like the old shoe, you know, and he becomes the conduit between the ball club and the public. And they take the announcer to the beaches and the picnics and up north to the cottage and all those places. It's quite a thing.
Runner at second, one out, and Garrett Anderson, actually runner at third, bounces out to second, and that'll put a run on the board and make it a 2-run game, an RBI ground out for Garrett Anderson, and he's been knocking in runs all season. All of a sudden, it's a 2-run game, 5-3, and we go back to the top of the order. Unfortunately, I don't know if the new generation of broadcasters, and I certainly put myself in that category, have that opportunity that you guys had, especially with the medium of radio.
Well, I think it's tougher now because there's so many games and so many more announcers. It used to be you were the only game in town, but you're doing it. It'll be done. It'll be done.
You want to call this?
Yeah, this is Mr. Wynn at the bat now with 2 out. 5-3, National League in the lead. Ball 1. 7 hits on each side, no errors in the game, and a lot of changes. Pretty close, 2-0.
It's a broadcaster's delight, these all-star games.
Yeah, I know. Oh. I tell you, talk about scratching and moving around.
There you go. There's a look at the lineup card in the dugout.
There's a foul back on the. I did an all-star game in the Southern League with the old Atlanta Crackers, and a guy batted out of turn. How do you like that? You talk about mix-ups.
And nobody knew it.
Nobody knew it. It was so confusing anyway. 2 out, nobody on. 5-3 National League. There's a wide one. 3-1 on Wynn. Not too many walks, not too many guys left on bases anyway. And he works himself a walk. Well, that's my play-by-play, guys.
That's all you're giving us? you jumped to action there. Did you see that?
Immediately.
He knows what to do. The man knows what to do. Well, I got a chance to work with you early on the radio side, and what a thrill it's been. And it's an honor to have you in this booth. Don't leave yet, though. We're in the top of the 7th inning, and the inning's still going. This is Batista. Are you ducking out? Or are you going to keep going? I'd rather listen to you than me.
All right, we'll say Batista's at the bat now, with 1 on, and 2 out. Looks like we're going to have a little trip to the mound, guys.
Our former partner Bob Brenly will go take the ball.
Make the old change. That's what we need. Another pitcher. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right?
7's right.
Count them.
Ernie Harwell, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Started his major league broadcasting career in 1948 with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Just a game, as simple as a ball and bat, and yet as complex as the American spirit symbolizes.
Ball 1 on Kurt. Here's the pitch. He swings as a long drive to right, and it is a home run for Gibson. A 3-run homer. The Tigers lead it 8-4 in the 8th inning. Gibson belts his 2nd home run of this game, and Tiger Stadium is going crazy.
Young-Hun Kim, who was introduced to the world during the World Series last year, the one who threw the home run pitches. Games 4 and 5. Tino Martinez tying game 4, and Derek Jeter winning game 4 in extra innings. A runner goes. That's Randy Wynn. The throw by Miller. Not good, but he had no chance. Stolen base for Wynn, and he's in second with 2 out. Again, the tying run is at the plate here for the American League, and Young-Hun Kim is trying to get this game the 7th inning stretch time.
It's very difficult for a catcher to throw with a pitcher who throws sidearm like that. He keeps the ball down. It makes it difficult to throw from there. It takes a long time to get it to the plate. I got to tell you, Joe, in my view, the way I see it, Kim is the biggest story in this game. To have gone through what he went through last year in games 4 and 5, 2 2-run home runs in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and then to come back and make the All-Star game the next year is heartening, to say the least.
Got a save earlier in the season at Yankee Stadium, where he just couldn't get that final out during the World Series this past November. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and that's up and away. June the 12th, the save from Byung-Hun Kim, and after he got the save, a double play ball, took the baseball and sent it sailing up into the netting beyond the wall in left field.
Or toward Monument Park.
Runner at second, 2 out. Batista at the plate. Here's a guy, Tony Batista, who's had really an odd career. A lot of good, a little bad, and he reaches out and dumps one into left field. This is a one-run game. Randy Wynn is in to score as Batista connects against Kim, and all of a sudden it's 5-4 National League. The old 2-out walk, the stolen base. Remlinger is on the hook for that run. He allows 2 runs on 1 hit, thanks to this base hit by Tony Batista.
Right out the end of the bat, the slider dumped into left field. And the American League's coming back.
Batista, a guy who hit 41 home runs in 2000, then was released when he hit 207 with Toronto, picked up by Baltimore. Here he is as an American League All-Star. Now Tejada goes up the middle. He's on. The tying run is at second. The go-ahead run is at first with 2 out. Byung-Hun Kim. Bring it on! Who can forget? Brocious to tie game 5. Then June 12th of this year, back at Yankee Stadium, rain falling, a double play, and relief. But now pitching in relief, he's in trouble again. It's a 1-run National League lead, 2 on with 2 out. And an RBI machine, Konerko, who's driven in 71 the first half of the season and has already doubled in this game, could, with a well-placed hit, put the American League on top for the first time tonight. Well hit into left center field. Back at the wall. Up against the wall. It's a tie game, and now here comes Tejada, and the American League has taken the lead. A 2-out, 2-run double by Konerko, and it's Byung-Hun Kim on the receiving end again.
Saw what happened on baseball's biggest stage. 2 2-run homers to tie it in the 9th last year, and now on baseball's second biggest stage, a double to put the American League on top.
Now A.J. Pierzynski could add to the lead for the American League, and that's inside for ball 1. So here's Byung-Hun Kim right back into it. The 8th batter of the inning is Pierzynski, who's 0 for 1. Konerko at second with 2 out, 6-5 American League. And Kim doesn't look too confident as he's fallen behind 2-0, and I guess how could he be?
I was thinking the same thing, and rarely are you concerned about a performance of any one player during the All-Star game, because after all, it's an elevated exhibition game. But I would imagine Bob Brinley's concerned about this outing.
No doubt. Junior Spivey takes care of Pierzynski, and that ends the inning, but not before the American League pulls in front. Time to stretch, a good one. 6-5 American League, and Kim back into the shelter of the dugout. Tables have turned. Tony Batista, who helped the American League put up a 4 spot in the 7th inning, takes over at third base. And now you get into closer land with the American League. It'll be Kaz Sasaki. 21 saves, tied for 3rd in the American League, former Rookie of the Year. The anchor in the bullpen for the Seattle Mariners come into the break with a 3-game lead over Anaheim. Scott Rowland first up, ready to swing, strike 1. Let's go down to Steve Lyons in the dugout. Steve.
That guy standing with a guy that, you know, if he wasn't wearing his number and his name on his back, half the people confuse him with the bat boy, but making a pretty good case for MVP. A couple hits, couple runs scored, and you got your teammate up there hacking right now.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. We had a little thing going on with my fellas, my agents. They wanted me to go out there and try to shock it. So I told them I'd try. You know, right now I'm rooting for Scotty. I want to get his first hit and get it out the way.
Of course, speed's a big part of your game. Scoring from first on a double, scoring from second on another hit today. Absolutely getting it done offensively for yourself.
Well, you know, I just tried to do something I haven't been doing, get something started for the second half of the season. You know, I'd be quite upset if we went to New York and I didn't get any hits.
You know, and now you got Scotty rolling up there trying to get a hit. Is he going to be your teammate at the end of this season? A lot of talk about maybe him not being around in a Phillies uniform.
You know what? I hope so. I enjoy it with playing ball with him to my right side. Man, cover some ground. Like I tell him all the time, Scotty, I'm sure glad you got to that ball. And, you know, we'll take it for as long as we can. If he doesn't want to stay there, then you know what? That's his decision. But right now, we love having him on the team.
Of course, with the MVP now being named for Ted Williams, maybe a little added incentive, but Paul Konerko just hit another double. He's got 3 RBIs looking good on the other side of the field.
Yeah, that makes it tough, but you know what? I'm just glad to be here.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for joining us. Joe?
All right, Steve, thanks, and thanks to Jimmy Rollins, who did have a 2-hit night, scored 2 runs, and the Phillies will be in New York right after the break. 1 out as Rollins struck out. Here's Mike Lowell, the third baseman, who is about as good defensively as the guy who just hit, Scott Rowland. Rowland is a tremendous defensive third baseman, and Lowell is right there with him. Former Yankee farmhand, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
Some of these players have their own personal battles. You mentioned Scott Rowland, his battle with the contract. Mike Lowell, his battle with testicular cancer. A couple of years back, found it out on a normal physical. So he has battled the uphill climb, and here he is in the All-Star game.
And a battle for the St. Louis Cardinals right now and what they are experiencing heading into the All-Star break. There is no team that needs a break more than the St. Louis Cardinals, even though they're in first place in the NL Central. Lowell is on with a 1-out hit. Matt Morris was supposed to be one of the active pitchers for the National League. I was happy to see that he came here. But he is inactive because of a heavy heart, trying to get his mind and body together after the tragic passing of Darryl Kyle. We take a look at our game recap brought to you by Original Coors, and it's a 6-5 American League lead if you've left us for a little while. The AL came up with 4 runs in the 7th inning. Paul Konerko, a go-ahead 2-run double. Fine batting average, .316, and we came on the air talking about how these games are typically, at least lately, dominated by overpowering pitching. 1 on, 1 out, tying run at first, and here's Damian Miller. Has an RBI double already. That's well hit into left field, and Damian Miller has another hit. Heading for third is Lowell. Heading into second with his second double is Damian Miller. And at second and third, only 1 out as the NL tries to reclaim the lead.
We also talked about at the beginning that the National League in 72 years led the American League in hits, being 3 ahead of the American League. With that hit by Damian Miller, the American League and National League are now tied in their 73rd year.
So with the runners on at second and third, 1 out. Miller has delivered 2 doubles, batting in the number 9 spot. Back to the top of the order, Junior Spivey. Sasaki on the mound for the American League. Hard hit at third, and Lowell will stay put. Batista, 2 out. A big out picked up by Sasaki as Spivey grounds out. It's going to be up to Lance Berkman.
Playing about even with the bag, and Batista, tricky little hop, looking at Lowell at third to holding there. There's that tricky hop we were talking about. I don't think he laid leather on that ball. Hit the heel of the hand, threw him out.
Now Berkman. Who else would the National League rather have at the plate right now than their number 1 RBI man, Lance Berkman, who has knocked home 81. Runners on at second and third, 2 out, and a base hit. could, and I say could because the trail runner is Damian Miller, who doesn't run well, could put the National League back out in front. Into right center field. That will do it. NL back on top, 7-6 on a base hit by Berkman. That came awfully close to picking off Chuck Merriweather, the second base umpire, who just got out of the way. When he did, it was 2 runs for the National League.
In the regular season, with first base open, Berkman in all probability would have been walked, but you don't walk guys intentionally at the All-Star game. Let them hit. Berkman comes up with a big one.
Here's young Adam Dunn, who's number 2 in the league in walks, behind Barry Bonds, and when he swings and connects, he has power, unlike many young guys coming up. 17 home runs. His on-base percentage because of the walks is huge. Adam Dunn has hit 36 home runs in his first 150 games in the big leagues. (7-6) National League in the 7th. 1 ball, 1 strike on Adam Dunn.
Dunn had 19 home runs for the Reds last year, and one of the very unusual, as a matter of fact, it's the first time it's ever been done. He had 50 home runs, 51 to be exact, in 3 classifications.
What a jump by Berkman as Sasaki paid no attention to him, and a hit could mean another run. There's another phase of Lance Berkman's game. He did not call him 81 runs in the first half or steal a base.
Throw by Pierzynski, not nearly in time. In easily.
2 balls and a strike. 3-1 on Dunn, who did what in the minor leagues? 3 different classifications.
And the major leagues. 51 home runs last year. That has never been done. Imagine being called up and hit 19 home runs after hitting 31 in the minors.
And he does that a lot. Takes a walk. Sasaki is having a rough first inning of work. He's given up the lead. He has 2 on, 2 out for Sean Green. Welcome to my mini season at the end of May. How about 4 home runs May 23rd at Milwaukee, a home run at Arizona on May 24th, and 2 on May 25th at Arizona. 19 total bases in that game here in Milwaukee, a major league record. And he bats with 2 on, 2 out here at the scene of the crime.
That was 7 home runs in about 55 hours. That's about 1 every 8 hours. It's pretty good.
Not bad. He bats with 2 on and 2 out. It's that good Sean Green swing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Green grounded out his first time. Berkman and Dunn the runners on, and Sean Green trying to chase him home. High and tight, 2-1. A little different look. In fact, really a much different look to the Dodger team from a year ago. Green is helping to lead that offense along with Loduca and others as he goes the opposite way. That ball's got a chance in the corner. It is foul. Nearly went deep here in Milwaukee again.
I think you can safely say that he picks up the ball pretty well in this ballpark.
He picks it up and throws it out of here pretty well in this ballpark.
Right off the fat part of the bat. Just misses a 3-run homer. He knew he had the distance.
And so did Sasaki. So it's 2 on with 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And in under the hands to to strike out Green, but the National League is back on top thanks to a 2-out, 2-run single by Lance Berkman. With that, after 7, the NL up by 1. There is the Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bud Selig, of course a Milwaukee resident, bringing the All-Star game to his city, and it has been a good one. 7-6 as we go into the 8th inning, and Robert Fick leads it off as a pinch hitter with a pitcher Sasaki, who right now is on the hook for the loss. He has relinquished the lead. Castillo takes over at second base. His teammate Mike Lowell stays in the game. He is at third. This is Fick, lone representative from the Detroit Tigers, along with Harwell, who was here earlier. And he is on to start the 8th inning with a base hit. The former catcher, now an outfielder, is on to start the 8th inning, and the tying run is aboard.
Great, dude.
Let's take a look at the Circuit City stat leaders at the halfway point of the season. Circuit City, we're with you. Sweeney leading the American League in average. Rodriguez home runs and RBIs. And in the NL, Walker, who's not here, leading in average. And then Berkman in home runs and RBIs from the Astros. By the way, the Astros, a disappointing 6.5 games out at the break. Under 500. Here's Johnny Damon. He's 1 for 1 with a single, a stolen base, and a run scored. Batting with a tying run at first and nobody out. Rob Nen is the pitcher for the National League, the San Francisco Giant reliever. 24 saves, 5th in the National League. Microscopic ERA, and one of the most dependable relievers over the last 4 years.
All-Star game is so unusual in that you see the different styles of the pitchers, the hitters. And if you folks have not seen Rob Nen, he has that little toe tap before his delivery that he uses to stay back on that right leg. But you're right, Joe, very, very effective over the last 4 years.
Third-time All-Star. 195 career saves, and he gets that past the bat of the game at 2-2.
There it is with that left little toe tap. It's almost like he trips his way toward home plate. It's been some trip, I'll tell you.
Former Texas Ranger, former Florida Marlin, and now trip to San Francisco. And Damon stays up there. He had that shot of Bud Selig. Boston Braves moved here to Milwaukee back in 1953, and then the Braves won back-to-back pennants. Defeated the Yankees in 57, lost to the Yankees in 58. Left after the 65 season, went to Atlanta, and baseball didn't come back here until 1970. Damon stays alive. The Seattle Pilots, an expansion team, played only 1 season in 1969. Bud Selig was instrumental in bringing that franchise here to Milwaukee. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Damon. Another foul.
Why, 42 years ago, Joe Torii bought his first car from the man on the right. Owned a car dealership, Bud Selig. Joe Torii, as we said earlier, his first year with the Milwaukee Braves, bought his first car from Bud Selig.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Damon. The word really as to what kind of deal he got. Or how the car ran after he got it.
Right.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Damon, then Vizquel, and then Garrett Anderson. As Joe Torii is trying to make sense of that lineup card that he has in his left hand. Runner is going. Great jump by Fick. Count stays 3-2, and Damon is in a heck of a battle with Rob Nen. Again with a tying run at first and nobody out.
You can see Nen, like a lot of short relievers, do not hold runners on very well, and that's one of the problems with the All-Star game. You've got so many short men who are in the game that it opens things up for the offense.
10th pitch of this at bat coming from Nen to Damon. Hunter takes off and a strikeout. Fick is able to get such a good jump that all Miller can do is flip it back to Nen. So a productive strikeout, and then he ran the count full, which forced Fick into running, and even the strikeout gets Robert Fick into scoring position. That's the tying run.
That's an interesting situation. You can see Rob Nen with that little toe tap. It takes longer to get the ball home. Fick standing up at second without a play.
Second baseman.
I don't think I've ever heard that expression, but you're exactly right. A productive strikeout.
That's right. We always talk about productive outs. That was productive.
Sure. Absolutely.
He at least got the count full, and now a hit by Vizquel and/or Garrett Anderson to tie this game. It's about at this time that these managers will start to sweat.
Yeah.
Thinking of the prospects of being tied after 9 innings. The National League is keeping Padilla available as a long reliever. The American League has Freddie Garcia along with 2 others, Urbina and Rivera. That's down into the right field corner. That is trouble. It gets down fair. The tying run scores. Vizquel will cruise into third base. He's the go-ahead run, and it's 7-7 here in the 8th. Vizquel, one of the 5 shortstops that Joe Torre brought with him, playing second base, taking over for Soriano, ties it with an RBI triple.
I think Sean Green thought that this ball might go out of the ballpark. The American League catches a break. That it didn't hop over the fence, but stayed playable, allowing Vizquel to get to third.
Now the infield has to come in, and Garrett Anderson, who already has an RBI ground out, could put the American League back out in front. Seesaw from the 7th inning on.
I remember the apprehension in the dugout in 1966 when the National League won 2-1 on a 15th inning 2-1 or home run, solo home run by Tony Perez.
That's right at the second baseman Castillo, and the runner has to hold 2 out.
Walter Alston of the Dodgers was the manager then, and handling his pitching staff and allowing Tom Siebert to finally finish the game as Perez pushed a run home. That, by the way, the longest All-Star game ever played, 67.
Of all the guys in the lineup for the American League, with all the money that's being made by this group and all of the talent and future Hall of Famers, it could be Randy Wynn of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. It could get the game-winning hit, only in the 8th. The go-ahead run at third, 2 out. Not with swings like that at pitches like those. Strike 1.
Nasty slider from Rob Nen.
That's down the left field line and out of play. Just while we have a chance, I started in talking about Darryl Kyle and his tragic death a few Saturdays ago, and the way the Cardinals have handled it. Cardinals do not have an active player representing the franchise in this game. Matt Morris is here, but took himself off the list. He has really struggled. One of his closest friends and his mentor was Darryl Kyle. Darryl's son Cannon was invited to join the National League All-Stars and sit in the dugout. The Kyle family declined the invitation. The Cardinals may not be represented on the field by a player, but Darryl Kyle and the franchise on the minds of these players and fans here tonight. Well, we showed up in Milwaukee and we've got a game. 7-7 into the bottom of the 8th inning. National League batting, and Andrew Jones first up against Uget Urbina, longtime National Leaguer. Now with Boston. Strike 1. The Andrew Jones. Then Jose Hernandez. Then Luis Castillo of the Florida Marlins against Urbina. Mike Sweeney takes over at first base. Robert Fick is in the game in right field. Sweeney will bat 4th. Urbina first, and Fick obviously will stay in that 6th spot. 1 ball, 1 strike from Urbina, who early in the season, Tim, was throwing 89, maybe 90, and now he's getting it up there in the mid to upper 90s.
That's common with guys who have had shoulder operations. It takes a while for them to come back. Andrew Jones certainly familiar with Urbina. He faced him when Urbina was with the Montreal Expos.
Urbina has filled a void for the Red Sox, taking over as their closer. Batista to his left. High throw, but out. 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. The game tied 7-7 this week. Both pitchers, by the way, are now batting in the number 1 spot. We play here in the 8th inning. An interesting little aside as Hernandez fouls away strike 1.
Think of the first All-Star game played in this city at County Stadium back in 1955. It was won on a home run by Stan Musial in the bottom of the 12th inning.
The 0-1 to Hernandez. Too much upstairs, and it's 0-2.
Joe, the reason I brought that up was that if you look at the high fastball, he blows it by Hernandez. A fellow with the 4th Estate was doing a survey today with the passing of Ted Williams, asking those around the game who was the best living hitter since Ted had passed. I'm sure you'll get a lot of different answers, but my answer was Stan Musial. Henry Aaron and Willie Mays with the home runs. Willie Mays, the best player I've ever seen. But as far as putting the bat part of the bat on the ball consistently, as you see Stan Musial's game-ending home run in the bottom of the 12th inning, I think Stan was the best and may have been the greatest low ball hitter in the history of the game.
And Bill Madlock winning the next All-Star game to be played here in 1975. Bill Madlock is actually here. Joined the festivities in Milwaukee with 2 out, nobody on. Luis Castillo, who had a 35-game hitting streak early in the season, and uses that tremendous speed that he has to his advantage, bouncing the ball on the ground, dropping down bunts, slapping at the ball. He doesn't have a pretty swing, but he just puts ash to agate and then starts to run. 2-0.
If he puts ash to agate on the ground, he can fly. 18 infield hits during that hitting streak of 35 games.
Urbina's taking care of the first 2. There's that odd swing that Castillo has. It really doesn't look like a major league swing as he's kind of exiting the batter's box, getting a head start to first and just flailing at the ball, but boy, it's effective.
It's similar to Ichiro's swing with not quite the strength that Suzuki has.
On 2-1, Urbina. That's what pitchers try to get Castillo to do, hit the ball in the air. And Urbina has a perfect 8th inning in this game. The 73rd All-Star game in Milwaukee will head to the 9th inning with the teams tied at 7. And it's a 7-7 game, and Tony Batista comes up empty against John Smoltz, who is embarking on a Dennis Eckersley-esque career. Dominant starter, dominant closer. 2 different chapters to his big league life. And a couple of pretty good breaking pitches. Sliders have run the count to 0-2 on Batista.
Batista almost between innings run over by the sausages here in Milwaukee.
What a frightening sight to turn around and see that coming at you.
See a sausage coming at you. One more time, instant replay.
Who can blame the man for striking out after this? Que pasa? Wow.
Were those hot dogs or brats?
I think you got it all covered there. You've got Polish sausage, you've got Italian sausage, you've got the hot dog, you've got the brat. Be my guess. Strike one off the bat of Garciaparra. Garciaparra. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here, people. He is the last position player on the list for Joe Torre. Joe Torre has accomplished it. He has gotten everybody into the game position player-wise. He is still left with Freddie Garcia and Mariano Rivera in his bullpen. That's what the wily, five-time All-Star managing Joe Torre veteran guy can do. Garciaparra checks on the shortstop Hernandez. Good arm. With Berkman on the other end of it, 2 out.
Off the end of the bat on the slider. And Garciaparra thrown out by his counterpart, Jose Hernandez. Mariano Rivera warming for the American League.
And Mike Sweeney digging in. First at bat for Sweeney, who was hitting a mere .361 to lead the American League in the first half of the season. Holtz doesn't get the call. Ball 1. Joe Torre, congratulations, sir. You have accomplished getting every position player in the game by my count.
Yeah, but you know what? We have a tied game.
I know. Well, the good news is you've gotten everybody in. The bad news is we might be playing for a while.
Yeah, I understand that. And
okay.
That's just the one thing I said to Zim. I'm standing here. I said the one thing about it, if our pitcher has to hit, you know we got at least a tie score.
There's Zim. There's Joe Torre. We're still tied. Bottom of the 9th inning. Mariano Rivera will take over for the AL and try to send it to the 10th. Mariano Rivera takes over on the mound. Garciaparra now backing him up at short. This is Lowell, and that's strike 1. Lowell, who came out of the Yankee system, as did Rivera, is first up for the National League. Lowell 1 for 1 with a single and a run scored. This 8 spot's 3 for 3. Rollins had 2 hits. Lowell has a hit, and then the number 9 spot, thanks to Damian Miller, who's on deck. 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles, an RBI, and a run scored. We are 7-7 in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's 2-1 from Rivera. Lowell, then Miller, then the pitcher's spot for the National League. That's foul. 2-2. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver with you. Steve Lyons, Kevin Kennedy, Jeannie Zelasco out of the truck. Bill Webb is our director, and Michael Weissman is our producer. And there are many, many more who help bring you this 73rd All-Star game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lowell goes the other way. Didn't get all of it, and puts it away. 1 out. Damian Miller looking for a 3-hit night. Way late, strike 1. We can go in. It's not unethical to tell the folks that you and I have picked as our MVP at this point.
No, certainly not.
Either Damian Miller if the NL wins, or Paul Konerko if the AL wins. As Miller, Batista to his left, good play. Miller is retired for the first time tonight. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the rule book for announcers' MVP selection process. Maybe it's not right, but that's it.
No.
It's out
I
there.
think it would be, but if you get a guy like Padilla in the game who's a starter and he ends up going 4 or 5 innings, if it lasts 13 or 14 innings, then I think you have to start thinking about a pitcher as the MVP.
Okay. At that point, then our votes are ludicrous.
That's right. That's right.
And we haven't helped the process at all.
We have to get the form back.
2 out, nobody on. Here's Benito Santiago. 10 years between all-star appearances for Benito Santiago, who had an incredible rookie season in '87, and now has had this rebirth, being the everyday catcher, and I mean everyday catcher for the San Francisco Giants.
To the point where, aside from Barry Bonds, Benito Santiago may be the most valuable San Francisco Giant. If he went down, they would be in trouble.
Santiago, by my count, is the last position player available for the National League. And there's his 17-year career, 5-time All-Star. He hasn't been here since '92, here being at an All-Star game. Rookie of the Year, 34-game hitting streak. He could end it with one swing of the bat or extend this game into the 10th if he makes it out here.
Benito Santiago so candid about his career. Says that he took things for granted for a time. He was in a very, very serious car accident. Literally, as they say, seeing your life pass before you, and that happened, and he took stock of himself and his personal life, and here he is in the All-Star game. It's a great story.
You can tell on top of that he's in incredible shape.
Oh, unbelievable. Yep.
He could still get a rip. 1 ball, 2 strikes as he was trying to end the 73rd Midsummer Classic. Vicente Padilla of the Phillies is the only player left to Bob Brenly, and Santiago's batting for the pitcher Smoltz.
There has only been one tied All-Star game. That was the second All-Star game in a year in which they played 2, one of 4 years back in 1961. And that game called after 9 because of a 30-minute rain delay.
Into center field and a base hit. 9th inning continues as Santiago is on with a 2-out single. What does that do? It brings the Major League's home run leader, Lance Berkman, to the plate with a chance to end it and win it for the National League. Rivera, the 8th pitcher of the night for the American League. The AL, by the way, still has Freddie Garcia left in their bullpen. Winning run at first with 2 out in the 9th inning, and Berkman is jammed. Oh hum. Typical pitch and result for Rivera. With 2 out, Lance Berkman in the 7th inning put the National League back on top. But then the AL tied it in the 8th on an RBI triple by Omar Vizquel. A little jam shot, another broken bat. What do you do, Tim, when Rivera's on the mound and a left-handed batter's at the plate?
Count the broken bats.
And you play the infield back. Right. No mulligan needed tonight. We go to extra innings, tied at 7.
The balls.
We go into the 10th inning. A.J. Pierzynski will lead it off for the American League. While Rivera was on the mound, the AL catcher had this to say to home plate umpire Jerry Davis.
I'm not even giving signs. He's just throwing.
With most pitchers, that's a frightening sign.
95, 96
but
every time.
With Rivera throwing everything the same speed, you just move from one side of the plate to the other and don't give signs.
This is the 10th extra inning All-Star game and the first since 1994. Uh-oh.
How's that?
What happened in 94?
Uh-oh.
Anytime you get a hit off him, be happy.
Pierzynski talking to the home plate umpire with Benito Santiago taking over behind the plate. And Pierzynski is jammed, and against Vicente Padilla, flies into center. 1 pitch, 1 out. Padilla was involved in the Kurt Schilling trade. It really wasn't talked about. The Phillies and Larry Bowa in particular tell you this guy's got a chance to someday lead the league in ERA. So Padilla took care of the first batter, and now Robert Fick who singled, stole a base, and scored a run. The tying run back in the 8th inning is at the plate. To his left, Castillo, 2 pitches, 2 outs. And let's go down to the dugout and check in with Steve Lyon.
All right, Joe. Hey, a lot of controversy around your selection. Your manager brings you here as an all-star, but all the detractors got to be not so happy right now. After 2 doubles, driving in a run, you're looking good, looking like an all-star.
Well, it's BB gets a chance to see me play on an everyday basis, and there's a lot more to judge than just batting average. And there's a lot more that goes into the catching position. He gets a chance to see me play, and I know he gets to see me play defense every day too, and it's a plus for me.
And I know that you live just 3 hours away from here. How many tickets do you have to buy for all your family, all your friends to come out and see you play?
I kept it at a minimum, really. It was I just kept my immediate family to come down here. There's only 17 of us.
Oh, just 17.
Just 17. Usually, the town will get the Legion will get a bus to come down here and stuff like that. Typical Wisconsin stuff.
So you learned the first rule of being an all-star. Learn how to say no. Everyone else buy your own tickets. All right. Good job, man. Joe, let's go back to you.
All right, Steve. Thanks. Wisconsin native Damian Miller, who very well could be the MVP of this game. Right now, though, somebody's going to have to step out in front and win this thing for one side or the other. Johnny Damon at the plate is quickly 0-2. 24-year-old right-hander Padilla is working fast and throwing strikes. 1-2. So far, a record of 10-5. Good ERA. And with 2 outs, the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The National League, in the bottom of this 10th inning, will have Dunn, Sean Green, and then Andrew Jones. Left side and out of play. We talked about Ted Williams, Tim, at the start of the night. The big game-winning home run he hit in the 1941 All-Star game. And he looked at his games playing in the Midsummer Classic like his chance to shine. He was involved in the 46 World Series, had only 5 hits, and wasn't very productive. So he will tell you, or would have told you, and has said it many times before, that his proudest moments in the big leagues came during these games.
Prancing around first base after the game-winning home run at Briggs Stadium in Detroit in 1941. That was the same year he hit .406, 2 Triple Crowns, 2-time MVP.
On 3-2, Damon hits it right at Berkman. And a race to the bag, won by Padilla. And the inning comes to a close. Pretty good play by Berkman, who isn't usually a first baseman. And Padilla, let's see, did he get there in time? The catch on the bag. First base umpire Tim Sheeta got it right. And we go to the bottom of the 10th, still tied at 7. Back after this from your local Fox station. 3 home run threats coming up for the National League against Freddie Garcia, the last player left for Joe Torre and the American League. Bob Brenly's down in the dugout. Bob, at this point, you've used everybody. You can pretty much go home.
No reason to look at the scorecard anymore, I guess.
No, it's over. I mean, you just let them play, right? May the best team win.
Well, obviously the concern is if we have to extend either Garcia or Padilla very long on both starting pitchers, but we don't want to run these guys out there in this situation any longer than we have to.
Lou Piniella and Larry Boa don't have your cell phone number, right?
Yeah, I hope not.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to Adam Dunn. He could end it. Tried to. 2 balls and a strike. Nine extra inning games, Bob Brenly, in history, and the National League has won all 9 of them. As Dunn takes ball 3. That's hard to believe.
I did not know that. Great graphic.
A little tight, but he know another. So he's okay.
Talking about Padilla down in the dugout as Dunn hits it to center. Back at the wall. The park will hold it. Bob Brenly thought the National League had made it 10-0 in the 10 extra inning games in the All-Star game, and that's just a long, loud out. What'd you think, Bob? You think he had it?
No, I was just hoping he had it, but that's a long way out there to center field, especially as the air gets cooler in here. But Adam Dunn's a big old country boy. He can hit him a long way.
Oh, yeah. Now you've got Sean Green. Well, who else would you rather have at the plate than Green, who has had a season's worth of home runs at this ballpark? For some guys, he had that incredible game with the 4 home runs here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Seems to see the ball well here in the count 1 ball 1 strike.
After the great series he had here, Joe, he came to our place and continued to hit home runs.
Well, what does he get from Freddie Garcia with a 1 ball 1 strike count? Right back up the middle. And Garcia's happy that that ball missed him. There's the winning run at first with 1 out here in the 10th inning.
Right back through the wickets of Freddie Garcia. Hey, you brought up Lou Pinella's name, and Lou Pinella's name should be brought up. If you're Lou Piniella right now, you're concerned if this game goes too much longer with your ace on the mound and the Seattle Mariners only 3 games ahead of the Anaheim Angels.
1 on 1 out. And Andrew Jones hacking at the first pitch. Hey, Bob, do you get a sense for how long you will go? I mean, I know you're not going to push Padilla to the point where you risk injury or it affects him in the second half, right?
Well, I mean, I would think 3 innings would probably be the absolute maximum we'd even think about running him out there, and only that because he had a fairly low pitch count in his first inning.
1 ball 1 strike on Andrew Jones, who could make this conversation, these points, moot if he could connect or help the National League put a rally together. The hometowner, Jose Hernandez, on deck. 2 balls and a strike for a guy who is, at least lately, not used to coming out of the bullpen, Freddie Garcia. There have been 4 walk-off home runs in All-Star Game history. 3, 4 if there's one tonight. Williams in 41 in Detroit, Musial in 55 that Tim talked about, and Johnny Callison in 64 at Shea. First year of Shea Stadium. Somebody do it tonight. 3 balls and a strike. Jones would like to be the guy. Full count. Will Green take off here with a full count, Bob Brenly? Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah.
No?
Nah, we're going to let Jose Hernandez win it.
Okay.
Hometown guy. Good story.
So Green will stay put.
Unless he wants to run. There he goes.
There he goes. And the throw down. Green is safe.
How about Green?
I guess I wasn't kidding when I said you could go home. So Green running. He steals second, and now a hit could win it. And this crowd wants to see, who Bob Brenly said a moment ago, Jose Hernandez win it for the National League. With Castillo on deck. Jose Hernandez, 40 RBIs in the first half and a .287 average. Tonight 0 for 2. Left side for Batista. Good play to his left. This game will go to the 11th. So we play at least one more here in Milwaukee. 11th inning, tied 7-7. As we go to the top of the 11th inning. It'll be the bottom part of the order and then back to the top. Vizquel, Anderson, then the pitcher, Freddie Garcia. The last run that scored in this game was knocked home by Omar Vizquel with his triple. That scored Fick. And tied the game at 7 back in the 8th inning. A little up and away. 2 balls and a strike. Vizquel 1 for 2 since entering back in the 5th. Now it's 3-1. Omar Vizquel, part of the international flavor that this All-Star game brings with it. And high and tight for a leadoff walk. Some of those international players that are with us here tonight in Milwaukee. No doubt a global game and becoming more and more so. 8 from the Dominican Republic, 40 from the U.S., 6 from Puerto Rico, 3 from Venezuela, 2 from Japan, 1 from Canada, 1 from Panama, Nicaragua, Curacao, and South Korea. And so Vizquel is on. And here is Garrett Anderson. Don't even think about the bunt. For 8 different reasons, not the least of which is the guy standing in the on-deck circle, Freddie Garcia.
Freddie has to hit since all players on both rosters have been expended. I think Vizquel will probably give Anderson a chance to drive him to third, and if not, he'll run.
That's it. Everybody's crossed out. It isn't in this game on each side. Runner at first. Nobody out. Anderson takes it outside. It's 2-1. Pretty upset he's not getting these calls.
There is one rule in the All-Star game, and that is the reason. I guess the bullpen they're gone. Finished.
Brewers open the second half here in the park, so they just get them ready.
Yeah. That way, you take the day off tomorrow.
On the outside corner, 2-2.
But the catchers for both rosters shouldn't be going home yet, because if somebody gets hurt, if Santiago, for instance, goes down for the National League, you can bring a catcher back. That is the only position where you can bring a player back.
That's bounced foul. But the problem is, outside of the injury, A, you can't bring a pitcher back. B, you wouldn't bring a pitcher back. And C, we just talked about it with Bob Brentley, at the most, they're going to ask for 3 innings out of Padilla.
Yeah.
And at the end of 3 innings, everybody will look to the commissioner sitting down by the dugout and say, well, now what?
You got it. I'm sure that's what Bud Selig is pondering right now.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Garrett Anderson. Has an RBI. He is 0 for 3, however. Now it's a full count on Anderson after a leadoff walk to Vizquel.
Now Vizquel runs.
Garcia hoping to get a chance to bunt on deck. Go ahead, run at first with nobody out. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
What?
He goes. Ground ball to second for Castillo. Go ahead, run at second with 1 out. Ground out by Anderson, but that's not what the American League wanted, with Freddie Garcia coming up. But he may surprise the world. He may shock baseball. 6 out of 20 in his career as a hitter, so he is not without a chance.
Have we gotten our form back, by the way? We picked Damian Miller.
Damian Miller, I remember him playing in the game. And I voted for him for MVP. Vizquel at second, 1 out. Freddie Garcia checks on Hernandez. Tough little play. Good play. 2 out. And the go-ahead run at third. That was not easy.
And it rolled out of the pocket up to the heel of the glove. Infielders and outfielders, for that matter, are used to bringing the ball out of the pocket. And the ball rattling around the heel of the glove, and Hernandez finally gets control of it to throw out Garcia.
Well, maybe Tony Batista of the Baltimore Orioles can be the hero tonight. Go ahead run, potential winning run at third, top of the 11th, 7-7 game, and Batista takes strike one. Tony 1 for 2 with an RBI single and a run scored back in a 4-run 7th inning. A lot of the damage was done against Young Hun Kim. That changed the entire complexion of this game. To right field, that should play easily for Green. And Padilla gets around a leadoff walk. That means we go to the bottom of the 11th. Here in Milwaukee, Padilla through 2 scoreless until tied at 7 apiece. Well, we know what they're talking about down there with the commissioner, Joe Torii, Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire. Bob Brenly is shielded by Jerry Davis. Sandy Alderson is there. Rich Levin. Everybody getting together trying to figure out what sort of a conclusion will suit everybody. And there is no doubt that Joe Torii doesn't want to hurt Freddie Garcia, and Bob Brenly doesn't want to mess around with the health of Vicente Padilla. Now somebody will be out there saying, well, what, it's 2 innings, what's the big deal? But these guys have worked, they've set themselves up, their side work, everything is for 2 innings max, and that's how they played it tonight. And I know Joe Torii and Bob Brenly, neither one of them feel comfortable with somebody who isn't their own pitcher running him back out there for a 3rd or a 4th inning.
And no pitchers pitched more than 2 innings tonight. Under those considerations, there is a good likelihood that this game could be called at the end of this half inning if the National League does not score a run.
Bob Brenly explaining it to his bench, and now he is being summoned back to that meeting, and this will probably be it for this game as Joe Torii makes his way back to the American League dugout. So the American League will not win. The National League can only be the winning side, or this game will end in a 7-7 tie.
And remember, the only tied All-Star game in the 72 played prior to tonight was on July 31st, 1961, when after a 30-minute rain delay, and the game was tied at the end of 9 innings, the umpires called the game, making it the first game and only game in All-Star history to end in a tie.
Still talking about it. I mean, it's a pretty cut and dried issue here.
Yeah, I agree with you. No question about it. This is cut and dried. Number one, you don't have to make the decision right now. You ought to let the half inning play out and then make the decision. That's when you're going to have to.
So, meanwhile, Freddie Garcia's thrown a complete game warming up out on the mound right now. He says, let's go.
Yeah, right.
What is the decision? Why should it take this long?
Number one, the decision doesn't have to be reached yet. They still have at least a half an inning to play.
Freddie Garcia's out there like, come on. But they're still discussing this. And your point is the best. It's the bottom of the 11th. It's not the end of the 11th. Garcia's ready to pitch. The National League can win it. They've got Castillo, Lowell, Miller coming up. Actually, Padilla. Make the decision at the end of the half inning.
Right. Seems to me by delaying right now, all you do is muddle the situation. And Freddie Garcia, one thing starting pitchers, or any pitcher for that matter, doesn't want to do is wait out there.
Crowd reacting, wondering what the delay is. And I think everybody can accept that if the National League doesn't score a run, it's a 7-7 tie. But he'll get over it. Sun will come up tomorrow. Bet you bottom dollar on that. But that monumental decision has been made, we believe.
Look at this.
And Garcia threw, and Castillo wasn't ready to hit.
Castillo was looking down then. Garcia delivered the ball. It was a strike.
1 ball, 1 strike. So Garcia, by all indications, is trying to end this game in a tie while the National League tries to win it. From what we understand, there won't be any more baseball played after this 11th. And I can't blame Bob Brenly at all for feeling that way about Padilla, or Joe Torre feeling that way about Freddie Garcia. We may end up matched up against potentially in the upcoming playoffs. That's into center field off the bat of Castillo. And into the glove of Johnny Damon, 1 out.
Decided that the game will end in a tie if a run is not scored this inning.
Well, Mike Lowell, it's all on your shoulders right now as they make the announcement. And Bud Selig is in the position of having to sit in the front row while this crowd reacts behind him. Lowell gets on with a base hit. And again, if the National League scores a run, that announcement and the decision that happened between the top and the bottom half of the 11th would be irrelevant.
So with that in mind, why make the announcement?
Now Vicente Padilla will step in.
You save yourself if the National League scores and you don't make the announcement. You save yourself the boos that are currently taking place here.
How ironic that Bud Selig, the Commissioner of Baseball, gets the All-Star game here to Milwaukee, and because it's a 7-7 game in the 11th inning and it may end tied, it may, gets booed here at Miller Park. No balls, 2 strikes as Padilla tries to get a bunt down to get Lowell into scoring position for Benito Santiago. On 0-2, Padilla showed bunt, took a hack. Just another entry on a long list of things happening in the game of baseball. In a celebration, Midsummer Classic, you could have controversy. That gets away, and now the winning run is at second base with 1 out. And Padilla can take his swings. Benito Santiago, it appears, will get a chance. He's on deck.
Lowell, an alert job of going to second base. Because of that announcement, in my view, this game is all of a sudden taking on the view of playing the game in your backyard. Officialdom has gone.
Padilla strikes out, and it's going to be up to Benito Santiago. They wanted to prepare the crowd, and they gave this crowd a chance to react and show their displeasure with the decision that either a run or an out will end this night of baseball, either in a victory for the National League or in a tie game. There will be no 12th inning. Santiago could end it in favor of the National League, and again, it's been 10 years since Benito Santiago's been an All-Star. He singled in his first at bat. If he does it here, he could win it for the National League. 1 ball, 1 strike. We hope to hear from the commissioner at the end of this game. Everybody right now in the world of baseball baseball a Benito Santiago fan. Santiago offered at that pitch, and this game could be down to its final pitch, final strike. And like a scene from Bad News Bears in breaking training, the crowd yelling, "Let them play." Bob Watson is here. He was the one that uttered the line in the movie. Santiago lays off 2-2. An awkward and unfortunate moment after that announcement.
So much for the crowd understanding the pitchers in the game. We both thought that there would be more understanding.
Garcia with a 2-2 pitch to Santiago. Game over. And this game will end in a 7-7 tie. We'll take a break and come back with much, much more. This game ends in a 7-7 tie after 11.